Big up, guys. Welcome to the buzz. Transfer special, and obviously also about the Club World Cup. I know that's gone a little while ago now, but I thought I'd go into that, see whether it was a success or a failure, whether it should have been played or not. As a lot of people would agree or disagree, and I suppose Chelsea will pretty much agree because they won it, of course. But should it have been? Should it have actually gone ahead? Was it a real success or not? Yeah, okay, it was a lot of money involved, but should it really have happened? Is it making the rich clubs richer? They're getting the bigger money, more money to get other players and things like that. Will it harm the lower clubs because of all this going on? You know, because the richer clubs are getting more money and so forth. And we go into what if people were watching it, because obviously the crowds were low at times there as well in the stadiums. Was it a real success? Were most of us watching it? Okay, I did watch it most of the time when it was on Channel 5, because obviously I got DAZN, but I couldn't actually watch it on there. So, and to be honest though, I was against it happening because I think we play enough games, you play a long season, and you got to play this as well afterwards. Well, the clubs are involved, of course, as we all know, the likes of Chelsea, City, and all that. They're in the top three, four, whatever, five. Or won certain things. Of course, our City won the well, they didn't actually win something, did they? They actually they were, well, I can't exactly remember, but I know Chelsea won the conference. Um, so, um, yeah, so there is that. But yeah, those sort of teams that are in it, the bigger teams, and it's all important to them, like Bayern Munich, of course, but there was also the sort of smaller teams, Fluminense and all that, Boca Juniors, all that sort of thing, and it meant a lot to them. Obviously big in their leagues, Brazilians and so forth, um, but yeah, it meant a lot to them. But yeah, we're going to that a bit later on. And apologies for the lateness, the delay again, guys. Obviously, I wanted to be on here at 1, but obviously a few things delayed it. Obviously, the Wi-Fi was playing up again also, which didn't help. And obviously, I want to get on with it. I'm expecting a guest or two very soon, hopefully. Want to get into all the all the transfer deals going on. It's been a busy transfer window so far already, and it's not far off. Though, obviously, the new season starting next month. So a lot of clubs want to get their deals sorted and done, these players in or out, whatever. And we go into all the deals that have happened and still going on, the rumours, the talk, the news, and everything pretty much that's going on still already. What's going through, almost happening, these deals or whatever else. So we get into that very soon, guys. Hold on one moment. I'll be back very soon. Just got to quickly check something. I'll be back soon, guys. Don't worry. Yeah, big up, guys. Sorry about that. I just was had to do something quickly, check something. Yeah, big up to you, Manny. Thanks for coming on. Well, in the live chat, of course. Hi, Steve. For some reason, I can't hear you. It's because I was doing something, Manny. That's why I had to go and deal with something. So that's why. All good. Yeah, I know. I just had to go and sort something out. So, but I'm here now. And it looks like you are as well, mate. So I'll bring you on now. Be up to you, sir. Hope you're well.
Yes,
Manny?
good afternoon to you, sir. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah. Can hear you fine. Yeah.
Brilliant. So, I'd like to say it is wonderful to be back doing some streams with you, and obviously the cricket stream did go well. Occasionally,
Mm,
the audio did go badly, and I'm just hoping that at this particular time the internet doesn't, act up where I am right now.
yeah.
But
So fingers
this
crossed.
yeah, so this promises to be a very interesting stream, and I see you've got a nice page up there. What
Yeah,
page is this?
a certain club you support, Mr. T.
Ah, yes.
So, do you want to go into it all? Very frustrating, I'm sure, at times with it again. Do you feel frustration, annoyance, or mixture of both, or what?
You
With all,
could say you could say it's a mixture of both. I mean, obviously, we've had to struggle to try to get some players out. The outgoings have pretty much determined everything. It's like you've got to release some players from your squad, sell before you can buy, as they say.
mm,
But the frustrating thing is that most of our outgoings have been players coming to the end of their contracts, like Kieran Tierney or Jorginho. And in addition, we've had to cancel Takahiro Tomiyasu's contract. As is mentioned there, he's been
yeah.
released.
Mm.
You could say he's been released from his injury hell. I wonder if he might be doing an Engelbert Humperdinck and saying, "Release me and let me play again."
Yeah, possibly. But yeah. But yeah, there is obviously a lot of notable players left. Obviously, well, Jorginho, I think we all knew he was going to go. He was. Did you think he was a success there or not, Jorginho, or did you like him there, or did you think he was a decent signing in the end? Another Chelsea, of course, ex-Chelsea.
Yeah, the thing about these Chelsea players who signed for us, mate, is that we
Mm,
all know that they are decent slash decentish players, sometimes good players. You know,
yeah,
Georgie Porgy, as I often call him, does have
yeah,
a pretty decent CV. Champions League winner with Chelsea,
yeah.
European Champions Championship winner with Italy. After that game, where Giorgio Cellini pretty much showed that he was an absolute thug.
Mm,
But
yeah.
I would definitely say that he wasn't quite able to replicate the um, good football that he showed with Chelsea with us, and that's sort of been the case with a lot of these Chelsea rejects who joined us. I think Petr Cech was the exception.
Yeah.
He was good for us 85 to 90% of the time, but it was clear that he had seen better days, and he was making a few mistakes with us. So I'd class Jorginho not really as a success, to be honest, but he wasn't necessarily a failure. It was just that sometimes on occasions when we didn't want, he'd make a mistake or two, most notably in the North London derby. And although he was starting to improve in the second half of last season, he was never going to be that person who would guide us to a league title. As far as the same thing definitely has to go for Sterling. I mean, Sterling definitely lost his value. He was just awful, absolutely awful, and
Mm,
he was of course trying very hard, but I think it's fair to say that having played since his teens for club and country and done so well, I think he's lost a little bit of that pace. He's lost a little bit of that. Maybe he's lost a little bit of drive, and it's clear that his best days are long gone. I wonder if Chelsea are going to organise another loan deal for him. Maybe he'll drop down the division and go into the Championship, or he could even sign on a loan deal for one of the just promoted teams. We'll have to see.
Tierney, disappointing, wasn't it, that you had to let him go? Because I thought he was amazing. And I think Arteta, spoilt him, didn't he? He really made him a failure there. And he's a great
absolutely.
player. And you see him going back to Celtic, and he's already playing well. And he's gone back to Celtic in the friendly the other day. They beat Newcastle. They apparently had a game,
Yeah, exactly. And he did, in fact, come on as a second half substitute. And one of the reels going on around Instagram was a fine assist where he sort of sold the defender a dummy and then whipped in a typical cross. And that was sort of met with a fine header into the top corner, which gave Martin Dubravka no chance. So he was a success because he was also, let's not forget, one of the starters of that FA Cup winning team.
Yeah.
And, he was playing really well. Obviously, he got injured at the worst possible time. And then Arteta thought that he could try and be Pep reincarnate and start, inverting, sort of applying what I call the inversion perversion or what have you. Yeah. And Tierney was just frozen out through no fault of his own. And
shame.
A lot of people were saying that was an example of how sometimes you've got to be tactically ruthless, and that Arteta deserves credit for it because inversion is the way to go. Nice. But now, of course, you take a look and see that even Pep is starting to abandon that idea because he's purchased, and we'll come to him probably later on, he's purchased Ryan Aït-Nouri from Wolves.
Yeah.
So I think Arteta's going to have to start tactically involving, because although the inverted technique does give us some strength in the midfield, it does leave us very weak at the back, and it has cost us goals. The worst part is that many of those goals have been crucial in terms of deciding our fate in a title race. So there's a part of me that just thinks that if I never see Mars Lewis-Skelly at left back again, it'll be too soon. Sadly, though, we just know that Arteta's not going to listen to anyone. He'll just do things his way. And once again, we're going to suffer.
Exactly, mate. Well, what do you make of the actual ones you have signed, though? Arrizabalaga, not really one of the best goalies around, is he? And yet you've got him. Zubimendi supposed to be quality. I know for a start, Norgard is quality, having experienced him for so many years at Brentford, playing for us. I know what a quality player you got there. But Madueke, a lot of people were against him as well. And I think he's a quality player. He's a fine player. I mean, he plays for England as well. I mean, he's one of probably your better Chelsea players, I would have said. Purchases,
I don't know why. I don't know how. Didn't like Arteta then. I hate him now. We've seen him sign Blues rejects, still wanting more, and add 2 more numbers to the score. All day. Watch Mikel fall down. All day. Arteta failing. I think your listeners can know that I'm a huge Pet Shop Boys fan, and there is in fact a very strong Arsenal connection with the Pet Shop Boys. Danes and Connell ran one of those supporters groups back in the day. They were sort of classified as a hooligan firm, but they weren't involved in any unsavory incidents, thank you very much. And he went on to become a bodyguard for both Madness and the Pet Shop Boys. So, yeah.
2 great bands. Fantastic bands there,
Absolutely.
The problem he's left to his own devices. That's the problem, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely. It's a sin, but what can you do? Now,
exactly.
And of course, before we do that, it is of course seen over there that Nuno Tavares and Marquinhos have gone, and 2 pointless signings, it has to be said. But in the case of Tavares, he's now gone to Lazio, and I think he played for them in last season's Europa League campaign, losing to Bodo Glimt, who went on to lose to Spurs in the semi-finals, of course. And Marquinhos, well, we signed him but sent him out on loan. I think he played a few games against us. I do seem to remember he scored for us in a Champions League game. But then, inexplicably afterwards, we never used him again. Make it make sense. Now, I'm going to go to your now former captain, Norgard. Now, obviously, whenever I've seen you talk about him on the Buzz, you've waxed lyrical about him. You've spoken about how influential he is as a leader, and certainly he's the type of person who will lend that level of calmness and efficiency to the back line while also, providing that solidity in the midfield. He's sort of more, I mean, he's probably, you could say that he can perform the roles of being a centre-back and a defensive midfielder, a little bit like Declan Rice, except a lot more consistent, I would say. And, he is going to be a big loss for you. I wonder how often he will be used. I think he'll probably play in the cup games as a first choice, and then maybe come on as an impact player in the European games. I don't know how frequently he will play in the Premiership. Maybe he'll get some substitute appearances there. It's quite clear that, Norgard saw this as an opportunity to join a Champions League club, one of the supposedly biggest clubs in the country. But, obviously when we offered the money, your club for some reason didn't really, felt as though they couldn't refuse. So all I will say is that I hope we will treat him well. I hope we will give him the games he deserves, and I hope he does well for us. And I'm not going to say I hope he does well against you lot, because that's one way to make you very angry with me. So I do not want to say that.
Well, I'm more angry about having Henderson, but we're getting to that later. A bugbear of mine, and I will get onto that a bit later.
I predict a rant. And as far as Zubamendi is concerned, once again, Arteta has seen it fit to try and raid Real Sociedad. I suppose it's probably out of the closeness of his relationship with that club that we let Kieran Tierney go there on loan. But Zubamendi, Mikel Merino, Martin Odegaard, that's effectively the entire Real Sociedad midfield reunited. And I can tell you it won't feel good unless we really play well. Zubamendi is a quality midfielder, but he's probably not as quick as you'd want him to be. And that's the thing, we seem, for some reason, Arteta seems to have a preference for midfielders who are quite slow. I don't know why. Maybe it was because he was slow himself as a midfielder when he played for us.
Yeah.
It could very well be. There's no doubting that Zubamendi is quality. I just don't think that he's going to be that type of person who will necessarily be a big impact player. And if you recall, we were both on Orist's stream that day talking about the transfer tier list, and I think it was another Arsenal fan, Flair, who said that Zubamendi would be an impact player. I'm tempering expectations. I think he'll be a good signing. He will do well, but probably not as well. He should do better than Jorginho, for sure. Now, I'm going to go to Kepa first.
Yeah.
When you're signed by Chelsea for 71 million quid and let go for 5 million quid, it's not even a question of trying to satisfy the book value. I mean, obviously, a lot of people will say that if you can sell a person for anything greater than the book value, it's still technically a profit. But still, it's very much a case of how the mighty have fallen. And he's had his moments with Chelsea. He was, in fact, the starting goalkeeper as Chelsea thrashed us in Baku in 2019 to win the Europa League. He's won a Champions League and other pieces of silverware as a bench warmer for Edouard Mendy. Last season, obviously, he was doing quite very well at Bournemouth and was part of that Bournemouth team that did a double over us. So you could say he certainly found his level. But I just don't know if he's going to necessarily be that person who can step into the breach and really dominate. My big issue is that David Raya needs some strong competition, because there were times last season that he was starting to act a little bit like, as you would say, Billy Big Balls, and sort of think he was better than he was. He'd wander out of his goal aimlessly. He'd leave himself prone to being lobbed. In fact, the goal he conceded against Crystal Palace at the Emirates Stadium was simply disgusting. I think it was it Eze or Mateta who scored? I forget who. It was Mateta. Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know that you might still have a soft spot for David Raya because for several years, of course, he was a part of your hive. But there's no doubt that he's consistent, but he's not that type of goalkeeper, in my opinion, who would, really have that je ne sais quoi that could help us win something. And he has started to make some dreadful mistakes. And it's a case with the goalkeepers that Arteta's signed that, without competition, they'll start thinking they're better than they already are and start making mistakes. And, they can do that because Arteta knows that he won't drop them. I mean, those players know that Arteta won't drop them. So I would have liked to have had a goalkeeper who would provide a great deal of proper competition. And Aston Villa have actually done that by signing this chap who will replace Robin Olsen. We'll get to him later. As far as Kepa is concerned, he's now no longer even in the reckoning for the Spain squad. So I really don't know how seriously he's going to push David Raya and make him better. And if Raya goes through a period where he ends up being an absolute bozo, does Arteta have the cojones, pardon my Spanish, to drop him? I don't know.
To me, I think it's trying to make Raya still feel comfortable there, not to push him and make him feel like, oh, look, he's brought somebody else in that'll probably take my place. I think that's another thing about it. I mean, you could have had Kelleher, but some other team got him, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, well done to you.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And, as far as Noni Madueke is concerned, I think, look, you and I can both agree, and I think you said it, he is a youngster with potential. He's also appeared for England, and as a winger, from what I've seen of him at Chelsea, he does have the ability. But you speak to many Chelsea fans on Twitter, they say that it's a good thing that they've gotten rid of Madueke because all he knows how to do is just run the channels, but he can't really whip a good cross. And when you have a winger who, does throw defenses off balance as his minimum requirement, but who can't really, provide that final ball or have that killer touch, at least not too often for our liking, then, it's a waste. Now, the thing about Arteta is that he fancies himself as being this person who can make, silk purses out of pigs' ears. But what we've seen him do is turn those pigs' ears into, shredded pig's ears, which are only really good for eating as part of ramen dishes, to be honest with you. And I don't know if Madueke is going to be any different. I would have liked it, in fact, if Madueke had gone to another club to work with another manager who would have diagnosed his problems, who would have taken, who would have been a keen judge of talent and who would have tried to help him fit into a system more effectively. And the big issue here is that we don't know if Madueke is going to be playing on the right or the left. If he's been signed as backup for Saka, then 50 odd million quid was a waste of money. Does he play on the left in lieu of Martinelli potentially leaving the club? That will remain to be seen. So,
would you
look, the jury...
Manny, would you prefer Eze instead of Madueke?
Oh, Eze definitely, because not only does Eze play well on the wing, he also has the ability to play well in the 10. But again, that just sums it up. Arteta doesn't want anyone coming in who will lend severe competition to his favourites. And let's face it, he's not going to be forced to drop his captain now, will he? No. He has, of course, benched Odegaard on a few occasions, but when push comes to shove, he still trusts the Norwegian. And to be fair, he is leading that Norwegian team, which is actually doing very well in the World Cup qualifying group, which features Italy as well. So Norway are currently sitting top of the group, having won all their matches, done really well, while Italy have struggled quite a bit. Israel are, of course, on their tail as well. And it could very well be that we'll see Norway in the World Cup for the first time since 1998, I think, in France, when they last played.
Weird that it's been that, with a player like you got there with we know who up front, that big striker. We all know that gets lots of goals. How the hell they haven't been there for so long? It's amazing, isn't it?
True, but listen, to be fair, many have been the nations who've had great players over the years who haven't been quite able to get through. I mean, take a look at the Republic of Ireland. For several years, they've had some amazing talents. Liam Brady, Johnny Giles, and others. And it was only in 1990 under Jack Charlton that they qualified for the World Cup for the first time. And tragically for Brady, he was not to be picked for that tournament and retired before that tournament. And he was supposed to play in Euro 88 under Jackie, but got suspended and couldn't play. So, it's just unfortunate, really. But it is what it is. But now I think Norway are coming together very well. They do have an excellent crop of players, with or without Arsenal's captain, of course. And I think they could do very well indeed. But again, without digressing, I seriously don't know if Arteta is serious enough to really, improve the team by getting players who will seriously compete with and push his favourites. So if it means that he's going to end up overplaying Bukayo Saka or starting Martin Odegaard every single time, and even continuing to pick David Raya, even if he starts making some even bigger, dropping some bigger clangers, then it's just not worth it. We all know that the guy. The thing about a lot of these Spanish managers I've noticed, Steve, is that they give the impression of being very professional and ruthless, but in reality, they're some of the worst managers I've ever seen. Rafa Benitez is another example of that.
Yeah, you should sort that cough out, man. It sounds very nasty, mate. There. But what are the thoughts of Jackson? Does that make you want to scream? Do you think that would be a bad signing? Would it be a thriller, or what else do you think?
You pretty much answered that with the first two questions. Not only do I really want to scream, it is going to be a dreadful signing. And, that's as easy as ABC in 1, 2, 3, it has to be said. I'm certainly not going to, that's the way this signing will make me feel. It's funny, really, that, Chelsea have, signed him. There's no doubt that on his day he is good, but the frustrating thing is that he's just so inconsistent. And there are times when he can't hit a barn door, and temperamentally, he's simply not it at times. But I really hope we don't go for him. And the sad part is there was talk about how we were still trying to get Gyökeres, but are just stalling on the deal. And that's the thing with us, for some reason, we're just engaging in penny pinching in Excelsis, and it makes me mad. If we don't end up getting Gyökeres and end up having to face the prospect of either getting Nicholas Jackson or some other scrub, and even then that person might not necessarily play ahead of Kai Havertz, that is something that really won't fill me with much confidence. And it'll really make me absolutely angry with Arteta and the board, because if they're literally in cahoots to try and give us all of this rubbish, then why should we be excited about anything? For Pete's sake.
So you like TLC, you don't want no scrubs, and it's no good chasing waterfalls either, is it, to find them? So,
absolutely. I mean, but the thing is, though, we should be trying to chase waterfalls and going all out to get what we want. And then it angers me that we're willing to drop about 50 million quid to get Madueke, but we just can't seem to get the money we need to push the Gyökeres deal over the line. It's ridiculous.
So if you do miss out on Gyökeres and say they get Jackson or something as a replacement for not getting him, what would you think of that? Would you think, oh, here we go again? It's disaster time again. We got no chance. We're going to have another shit season, finish second or lower. Or what? What do you think? How do you think it'd go?
Mate, I'd be absolutely fit to be tied. I'd be, livid in every single way. And, there is a part of me that just thinks that if they're going to continue with this ridiculous carry-on nonsense regarding transfers or what have you, it's just not really it might not even really be worth following Arsenal this season because we see the same cycle again and again and again. And I'm still going to be an Arsenal fan. I'm still going to, check their results. I just don't know if I can really bring myself to watch any of the games because, you want to see an attempt to try to do something different, to break this whole ennui and to show me that, you are serious about doing something right for a change. And then, of course, what's going to happen is that we're going to get some really good results. Some of the more maligned players will do very well, and you'll have these flop gooners coming and saying, you see, we're keeping the faith. We believe we're going to do well. And when we win the title, you idiots who are against us don't have any right to celebrate. And then we start going through that slump. We flatter to deceive. We end up with no titles. And these idiots end up with Egg Foo Young on their faces. And we end up saying, we told you so. We told you so. The tragedy is people like us who don't like the manager, as my good friend Northside would say, shout out to Northside LDN, are all about being proved wrong. We want to see the club succeed, but we know that Arteta's not the guy. And yet it hurts us a great deal. We don't like being proved right. But once again, we're seeing the club just dawdle on everything. And history is just going to keep repeating itself. And we're never going to learn our lessons. And that's what irritates me. So I'm not really listening.
It's going to go. Say if you do actually get Gyökeres, you're going to have more of a chance than not of getting maybe a trophy this season.
I'd like to think that we could at least have a chance of winning a domestic cup this time around if Arteta chooses to take it seriously, because we know that if he does take it seriously, if he wants to, we can go reasonably far. I take the point that we haven't yet reached a final still, but we have had our share of semi-finals. I think we've reached 2 League Cup semi-finals, if memory serves me right, losing to Liverpool and Newcastle. We've had a Europa League semi-final, but in the FA Cup, disgustingly, we haven't even gone past the 4th round since that win in 2020. And that was another reason why was because he did what Benitez did after winning the Champions League and saw it fit to break up that team and, jettison some of the players who helped him win that FA Cup. It's absolutely stupid. At least with Gyökeres, we have a chance of going further in the Cups. And I think, when you have a striker who's a lot more consistent, it really does make a very big difference. And since Aubameyang left, we haven't had a striker who has been able to, challenge for the Golden Boot, and hopefully with Gyökeres that could help us. There have been a lot of people on Twitter who've gone crazy saying, he's a Coventry reject, he's 27 years old, nobody else wants him, but he's a late bloomer, like a certain Argentinian goalkeeper who I happen to like a great deal, you know who. And the thing about a lot of these late bloomers, Steve, is that they will obviously feel as though they're coming into a really good patch of form and they have to do whatever they can to maintain that form. And they know that with their days counting, they have to make each day count. And that's why they are a lot more focused, a lot more disciplined. They train harder. They work hard on their game. And that's why I really do like Gyökeres a great deal, and I think he'd be an excellent addition. I am glad we ended up not getting Benjamin Sesko,
Yeah.
but please let's show some seriousness and get the Gyökeres deal over the line. And if you do so much as even think of touching Nicholas Jackson with a barge pole, then all I can say is, in the words of the immortal bard, a plague on all your houses.
Yeah, exactly. And before, obviously, we move on, because I think we've had enough of talking about Arsenal, mate. We will move on, but I think my prediction for your Arsenal here, I would say at least top 4, maybe again, and maybe a trophy. You're not going to get the Premier. You're not going to win that. No way. I can't see that. Other teams have strengthened. Liverpool again, I think in with real chance of winning it again. City, will come back from that dreadful season last season. I think they will come back stronger with new signings. And a lot of the other teams, Newcastle, of course, we know they'll be in there, in and around there. And any other we can see in Villa, could they be up there again? We will move on to them, by the way. But I just think you're not going to win. I think you could win a trophy. I just don't think it's going to be Premier. No way.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that, and I would say that it's not even going to be the Champions League either. We're still raving about beating a Real Madrid team where quite a few of their better players were just a little bit over the hill, and of course now it's a new Real Madrid team under a new management. They were still cut to pieces by PSG in the Club World Cup, and we will talk about the Club World Cup later on, obviously. But right. I think, next season we're going to see a lot of other teams that normally do play in the Champions League start taking it a lot more seriously. We were quite lucky that when we were playing in the group stages, PSG, Manchester City, and several other top teams were, completely out of sorts. And if we do win the Carling Cup, I will be reasonably happy. But for me, my minimum remit is either Premiership or Champions League. Otherwise, you've got to go. Because, again, the worst part is that, a League Cup win will only just prolong the agony or paper over some cracks, or maybe both.
Yeah. But anyway, buddy, we'll move on to Villa. And I did sort of mention them, but they haven't made many signings, have they? They've had a lot gone out, basically, rather than brought in. So what we can see here, I don't know. Do you know much about Ozcan? I think you mentioned him in that one on Norris one, didn't you, or something?
Yes, I did, Steve. I did. I did mention, in fact, that he was a quality signing from the Turkish league. Kasim Posa, is that how you spell it? Kasim Pasa?
I thought you meant Ozcan, is it?
Ozcan? Yeah, Ozcan on the top, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yasin Ozcan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the club where he comes from, or do you?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The club from which he comes.
Kasim Pasa. Is it Kasim Pasa?
Yeah, Kasim Pasa. So that's nice. So
heard of that team, but
yeah. So
Turkish, I suppose.
Yeah, he is. I think alongside the likes of Arda Güler and others, a Turkish international, and he has been touted as a very young talent. And there is another incoming, Redmond from Feyenoord. The Dutch league is, of course, very, very popular indeed. But many of these players who have gone out have been sent out on loan as youngsters. I think Coutinho has had his contract ripped up and he's gone to Vasco da Gama. Nedeljkovic was with the first team last season, but he went out on loan to Leipzig, I think, sometime in the winter, and they've continued that loan. Barranquilla is a very promising youth player who has been sent to Benfica. If you can just scroll down. Yeah, he's been loaned out to Benfica. They have an option to buy. And then Keba Cisse has come in from LASK. So that's 3 incomings. And many of the loan players as well who came in in January in an attempt to try to push Aston Villa further in the Champions League, I think they've all gone back to their clubs. You see right there that Disasi, Asensio, and Rashford have gone back. And Rashford, of course, will probably end up going to Barcelona from the sounds of it. I don't think Asensio has a future at PSG under Enrique, so he might end up going to another club. But he was great for Villa at the very beginning. I think the goals started to, dry up a little bit, but he was still one of the club's better players, and I really did enjoy watching him. Disasi started well, but ended up being a bit of a disaster at times. Another youngster, Courtney Hauser, released, and a few other youngsters sent out on loan. Now, Villa have had to deal with a lot of issues regarding PSR, and I think of late what they've managed to do is sell their women's team, so they managed to raise a little bit of dosh, and so they've really had to be very careful and very guarded in their transfer activity, and so far they pretty much made it clear that they would like to sign some players. They probably won't be able to get some of the really top quality players they'd want. So the likes of Denzel Dumfries will probably, in all likelihood, not happen. But, what they're trying to do is get some form of competition for some of their defenders. They will definitely have to strengthen their back line, which failed them at the worst possible time. And what hasn't been mentioned is that they did sign this Dutch goalkeeper named Bizo, who was playing with a team named Stade Brestois in the Champions League last season. So definitely a quality keeper. And he is expected to either lend competition to Emiliano Martinez, or he could probably end up, becoming the number one with Robin Olsen having gone to Malmö. And I think that's definitely a good purchase they make, because you want to make sure that you buy some players who will push the first teamers to become better players and not make them take their places for granted. And I will also say that in as much as you know that I love Emmy, and he did have a few magnificent moments last season, the entirety of his season, you have to say at the end of the day, was a bit of a disappointment, where he started making some pretty poor mistakes when the team didn't really need it. And there's no doubt in my mind that he is still, at least now, one of the top 2 or 3 keepers in the world. I think people are going to rave about Gigi Donnarumma, but then he failed to win the Club World Cup, and if he fails to qualify for the World Cup with Italy, then I'm going to go and taunt those people who say that he's better than Emmy. No chance. I think Emmy obviously would have done well with a bit of a rest, but there has been some speculation about him going to Manchester United. Why he'd want to go to Manchester United, I'd have no idea. I do not see them.
Why does he want to go there? But he has. Well, he will.
Yeah,
he's had a medical.
Absolutely. I do not think that he will think the club will improve. Of course, if you take a look at Martinez, when he joined Aston Villa, they had just avoided relegation, finishing 17th under Dean Smith. And he has been a very big part in their rise from, near relegation to regular European qualification. And so that is something which should give him a good deal of elation. But if he leaves, it'll result in desolation among the Villa faithful. And I will also lose a bit of respect for him, because if you join Manchester United, not only are you admitting that you care more about the money, but when you take a look at what that club is doing behind the scenes to raise money for these transfers, given that they're also saddled with even bigger debts than Aston Villa, you have to wonder if that club really is any kind of a paragon of virtue at the moment. So there should be some more incomings confirmed, because obviously Aston Villa have had to let players go before they can bring players in. And we're going to see how the squad will look, come the end of the transfer window and the beginning of the season. I'd like to see them kick on. I do believe that they will be favourites to win the Europa League. And if Emery is smart, he will learn from the mistakes he made and make sure they get over the line. So they should secure qualification for the Champions League next season. I think with regard to the league, they'll probably still finish among the top 6 or 7 clubs. I'd love to see them finish in the top 4 again, but I don't know if I can see that happening. They'll probably have another 2 deep runs in the FA Cup and maybe the Carabao Cup. And so Aston Villa are continuing to evolve under Emery, and that's a real process. And I think, Villa ironically look like they could win silverware before we do.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said there, fella. I mean, I think they will get at least 6 or 7. I don't think they'll probably be right up there. Like, what was they? Were they fourth? Did you say they were fourth, weren't they? Last season?
Yeah. No, last season they just missed out on the Champions League following that dreadful defeat at Old Trafford. But the season before they qualified for the Champions League by finishing fourth. The ironic thing is that Spurs actually thrashed them 4-0 at Villa Park, and they were favourites to qualify. But then they had a little bit of a mini implosion, and of course you had that controversy with Manchester City. And in the end, it was Aston Villa that pipped them to the post, while Spurs went into the Europa League. But then we all know what happened to Spurs in the Europa League. We'll talk about that soon.
Yeah, sorry, mate. Yeah. I think they will be up there, as you say, around in the top, maybe 6, 7. But I'm not sure they could win a cup. I think Emery's destined to win something there. It might be a Europe one. But I don't think they're going to get anything really big. It certainly won't be the Premier or anything like that, as we know. But I think it depends as well what other signings they make. If they add to the squad, if they make the team better. I mean, it remains to be seen, really. But I think they'll have a fairly successful season. But Bournemouth, another team close to our hearts. Well, yours, I think, Manny. More than mine. We all know the Cherries guys, and we hope they will have a good one, don't we?
Yeah, and of course, thanks a lot for mentioning that channel. We will actually be going live with them this coming Thursday as we talk about our own tier list, the one we're doing with those guys. So shout out to Craig Beasley, Matt Harrison, and Sam Harrison. And I think they've actually gotten a couple more people to join that team, so it should be fun. And obviously, I used to do a lot of streams with them, but couldn't for quite some time. But now that everything's repaired, it's all very good. And of course, as I mentioned, this Bournemouth team under Andoni Iraola did the double over us. And so we decided to punish them by getting the goalkeeper that played for them last season.
Yeah, we beat them last season. We beat Bournemouth. So.
Yeah, so maybe that makes you a better team than us in some respects.
Yeah,
but
we're a team for Bournemouth, I think.
Yeah, and this is really a very interesting list here because they've got a couple of outgoings. This chap Cropi has come in from Lorient, and Troffer has also come in from Rennes. So that's a couple of French guys, very interesting. Max Aaron's going out on loan to Rangers is interesting because, at one point he was touted as being a very popular choice for right back for several teams. Obviously, the fact that they've lost Dean Howson and Milos Kerkez to Real Madrid and Liverpool, respectively, is a very big disappointment because those two guys were big parts of that defense that did quite well last season.
Yeah.
And I hear an echo.
So it might be mine again. I'll just do the thing, the mute thing, and I'll see what happens there.
Yep. Now you know what to do. So
yeah, you carry on, mate. I'll sort it out. All right, you carry on.
Yeah, and right. So as I said, the fact that they've lost Kerkers and Howson is really a disappointment, and how they will try and bolster that defense remains to be seen. They've also let Joe Rothwell go to Rangers with Aarons. Mark Travers is one of their reserve goalkeepers. He's gone to Everton to compete with Jordan Pickford. But interestingly, I mentioned Marco Bizzo. I don't know if this is a typo, but it looks as though he's listed under the Bournemouth transfers. I'm going to have to sort of check that out. Have I really missed something? Because we've seen him, sit in front of the desk with some of the Aston Villa Yeah, that Marco Bizzo thing is a mistake, mate. It has to be mentioned as an Aston Villa player, and for some reason that page lists him under the Bournemouth squad list. So I don't know. I think they're going to have to correct that. But they have signed Chelsea goalkeeper George Petrovic. I think that could very well be a very good signing because there was a time, when he was playing for Chelsea that, and I think Hanno can back me up on this. A lot of people wanted him to stay as the number one. I think he was playing under Pochettino, if memory serves me right. But then for some reason, he never found much favor under Enzo Maresca, who preferred Sanchez, and another chap, Jorgensen, who was actually playing for Unai Emery's former club, Villarreal, in La Liga when Chelsea signed him. And Petrovic hasn't really been in favor, but he's a good signing for Bournemouth, definitely. And obviously, with the boys, I will talk a great deal about that.
Yeah.
And the echo's back, mate.
I've got a new mic in. So
Beautiful. It's working perfectly. Yeah. It's working perfectly. Now, Bournemouth did actually have a wonderful season last year, but I think near the end they started to fade away a little bit, and their European dream just got crushed in a way. And the big challenge for them, and I see that the ex-Arsenal youth player Jadon Anthony has now gone to join the Scott Parker so-called revolution at Burnley. I think they need to obviously try and get some more players. They've brought very smartly, obviously, as evidenced by getting Petrovic in. I'm not too sure why they'd want to send to let Travers leave if they're not, because I'm pretty sure that Norberto Neto will also be leaving, although maybe they know something I don't, because he hasn't been mentioned as having left at the end of his contract. If he signed a new extension, then he could very well compete with Petrovic, and it could very well work out that way. But Daniel Jebison is another one who played last season, and now he's been loaned out to Preston in the Championship, I think. And I think Bournemouth are going to have to try to get a few more new signings in. But what's really wonderful is that they've maintained the core of players that helped them do really well last season. They've still got Philip Billing. They've still got Justin Kluivert. They've still got the likes of Marcus Tavernier and others, Adam Smith, and several other of the of their stalwarts are still there.
Billing left, man. I thought Billing left, didn't he? I'm sure Billing left Bournemouth.
Let me just see. I'm going to make sure I
Okay. I'm sure he left. Sure, I heard that he went.
Whoops. Danish footballer, born 1996. No, he is still with Bournemouth. He is still with Bournemouth.
That's what he went. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, and this is another reason why you always have Wikipedia open when you need it. And I'm not too sure why he's not playing for Denmark anymore, because it lists that he's not being picked, but he's still definitely an important player. And of course, he
was going to leave at one stage. Apparently, there was a move on the cards, but I don't know. It must have fell through. I suppose that's all I can think of.
Yeah, it could very well be the case indeed, as you said, and we'll find out. We'll find out what happens to him. I mean, obviously, he's still considered an important player for Bournemouth. And of course, last season they let Dominic Solanke go to Tottenham, and he became a European champion. And that's something I'm going to rib the boys about, definitely. But I think Bournemouth have shown that they are more than capable of doing a lot better. And in as much as it might be harsh on Gary O'Neill, I think it's fair to say that the decision to let him leave and bring in Andoni Iraola was an inspired decision. As they've just shown that they can play in a wonderful way. They have a great style of play, and they can certainly go on a very good run and give a lot of big teams a bloody nose. The big issue, though, is that they're going to have to really work on their consistency and really make sure that they,
I think they run
don't
out of
lose
steam
too much.
last season. They run out of steam, I think, towards the end of last season. And I think they could have nearly got Europe, of course, like us. They was around that area, weren't they? Of getting Europe.
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And this season, they're gonna want to try and compete for Europe again. They're gonna want to try to, go on that run, and I think Iriola will obviously need to try to do a little bit more to strengthen the team because yes, he's maintained that wonderful core, but you've also got to add to it. So it'll remain to be seen what players he buys and what more activity he will undertake in the transfer market. I think Bournemouth are going to do reasonably well this season. They should have another top half finish. Whether or not they end up, qualifying for Europe this time will remain to be seen. If they can make the Conference League, then that would be absolutely wonderful. But I don't know if I can necessarily see that happening. But we will obviously discuss that further on Thursday. So do please check out Up the Cherries in all departments, and we will let you know, of course.
Great channel. Great guys, brilliant guys. Guys up there.
Yeah. And just to be very clear, just to be very clear, we do the streams and then release them the next day. So do please keep be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, please check out them guys. Brilliant bunch of lads up there, Up the Cherries, superb. Go and check it out. And I'm going to move on to a certain team here, Manny, that I want to talk about. As we know, the Bees. You don't mind if I go first here, do you? Really?
It's your channel, mate. How about it?
Well, and it's my team, so I'm going to go first, definitely. Well, we know for a start, the manager's gone. No more Thomas Frank, which is sad. He was brilliant. We had a lot of great years under him. He got us up to the Premiership, of course. But a lot of people thought he was brilliant when he first came. He hit the ground running. He wasn't actually, he was assistant and all that there as well. He wasn't a manager to start with there. And when he did become manager, he wasn't great to start with. And we got another guy coming now. He's really, you could call a novice, never really managed as such, in Keith Andrews. People will think, well, we got no chance. We're going to be relegated this season coming. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to be probably bottom half. I can't see us being top 10. I think this thing, we got to give him a season at least, or some of the season, and see what happens. It's totally new role for him. He was obviously a set-piece coach, as we know. He's sort of been involved in other sort of almost coaching roles, assistant coaching, maybe Republic of Ireland and things like that. We all know it didn't quite work out, MK Dons and things like that, maybe. But, I've got a feeling we do actually know what we're doing. I mean, at one stage I was against him coming. I didn't think it's going to be a great move. But, we seem to go through it. We seem to do it. We seem to get successful and, through internal people coming through. We had it, of course, we got Warburton at one stage, and that actually he was from the city. He wasn't a proper manager as such at one stage, and he done well as well. So, it can work out. And obviously Frank was amazing, but he come through, and we see what talent he's got, and what he does with his board of moving the strategies and tactics and formation and doing the right things at times. And I did obviously one stage, have something against the way he was running it or managing at one stage. I think when we was down, probably struggling, I think we were around sort of 15th, 16th, something like that. we were getting down near there, relegation, and I thought, well, maybe it's not quite working. Maybe he should go. But there's been plenty of times he probably could have gone, and actually has had talks with other teams before. So this wasn't the first time it was going to happen. It was talked about he was going to leave. So it was always going to come at some stage, and I think he's done what he could for us. A lot of people will say bad things about him for leaving now and going to Spurs and this and that, and it's all, he's going to get big money. They won a trophy there in Europe, they're this and that, and whatever else. And he's going to take a lot of our players. He's going to take most of our players, and really he hasn't at the moment. I mean, obviously there's talk about Vissa. I don't know if that's going to happen. I hope not, but you never know. It's possible because Bramo's gone. I can't see him staying here either. But at the end of the day, he had to move on. He thought he's done enough for us, and I think he did. I think he was really great, and I do wish him luck at Spurs. Despite maybe trying to get some of our players. I mean, but you always see that happening. Most managers move on and want to take their players with them that they had at the previous club. So I suppose he's no different, really, when you think about it like that. But really, some of the choices now, I'm not so sure about. I mean, it's great that we've sort of got, Sam Saunders is still there. He's now the B team coach. And we got the guy in from Arsenal. Is it Mehmet Ali? I think his name. Under 21 manager. You may know him, Manny. We got him in. And, of course, the guy that was there before, I'm trying to think of his blooming name, but he's moved up to like head coach now. We sort of like, it's all going from within. We're sort of like getting from within. We did get another guy, can't think of his name again at the moment, but don't worry, it'll all come to me. But at the end of the day, we will sort of move on and try and be successful again with whoever we bring, whoever comes in, and I think it will be. I mean, we look here, and of course Ben Mee is gone. I think it was always going to happen as well. He was going to go, released, obviously. But we got the best out of him, the best years he still had from Burnley. I think an amazing free signing at the time, and was superb for us. And time's up for him. We all know that, and he had to move on. He's gone. Michael Chiodi, what a signing! That one of our best recently, I think, was superb. We see him on loan for Fiorentina. Now we got him permanently. Right back, incredible. Don't know much about Ben Winterborn, but he's moved on, of course. He's released, gone to Barrow. Romeo Donovan's supposed to be very, very good. A talent, obviously, from Birmingham City. So we're going to see, obviously. But the major one for me there is Kelleher. What a signing. Amazing signing. We needed a top goalie. Flecken's gone, thank God. And I know you might mention a few things about him in a minute, Manny, but I think Kelleher is a major upgrade.
I agree. I agree.
We needed it. We needed one. I mean, Flecken. I mean, okay, we can say we're going to all the stats and things that were all for him, what he done in certain games, but I know what other shit things he done, and they outweigh the good things, I'm afraid. And I never always go by stats, and that's why I don't, because of what happened with him there. And he made cock-ups in major games, especially against Arsenal as well. So I think, that's a great signing. Malambo, we're going to wait and see. He's got good talent. See what he done in the under-21s for Netherlands. I think he's got immense talent, promise. Another young player, of course, from Feyenoord. Norgard, unfortunately, gone to Arsenal. Not really happy. About that, I'm even more unhappy about Jordan Henderson coming in for us. And I'm sorry, Manny, I'm going to have a big rant, mate, and then I'll hand it over to you, okay? I don't know why we've brought this guy in. He's supposed to be a replacement for Norgard. He's 35 years old. He's had his best times in the past playing for Liverpool and Sunderland and abroad, maybe. So why are we going backwards? Trying to sign, well, he's on loan, I think. Is he loan or maybe signed? Well, signed for 2 years. I hope, really, it's only one. Because I think he's fucking useless. And what are the things he said as well and gone back on? The rights of the LGBTQ, whatever you call it. All that. I hate all that. But he was up for that, standing up for them. Went back against it by going to Saudi Arabia. And now also he's back in the England squad and team. For some reason. How is this man playing for us and playing anywhere here? Because the man is finished. I will keep saying it. And I hated this when I heard this. I just could not fucking believe we went for this man. Just because he was available and on a free. Why, Bees? Why have we got him? And as you say, I'm not going to stop supporting the Bees. You won't stop supporting Arsenal. But at the end of the day, if you're not happy about someone, you've got to make it known. And I will make it known. And I'm not happy about this. And I think we could have got better than him. And I'm going to hand over to you now, Manny, because I've had enough. But my rant's gone over.
Yeah, and all I can say is you certainly made your points very well known and certainly very well heard. And yeah, listen, as much as I think there is still something in him, I really cannot see him staying at the Bees for more than a year. This is really only was, in my opinion, a signing that was designed to facilitate him remaining in the good books of Thomas Tuchel, the German Wally, as you now call him.
Yeah.
And you know, that decision he made to move to Saudi Arabia really was, in my opinion, the thing that it's sort of damaged his reputation and made sure that he would never really be looked at the same way by England fans and other football fans, especially not fans from the LGBTQIA community. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I do get this idea that, you know, careers are short and you've got to find ways to earn money to feed your family. And you can, as much as you may be a very, you know, socially active, patriotic person, you can't, you know, provide for the life of your wife and children based on, you know, patriotism and, you know, social fervor. That sort of defeats the purpose and makes it really cheap in a way. But he could have earned a good sum of money joining another club. He did eventually end up joining Ajax Amsterdam, where he did quite well in the Eredivisie. And you know, he could very well have found another European club. He didn't need to take that ridiculous plunge. And it was funny, ironic, and a little bit appropriate that he didn't receive a single pence, a single penny from his sojourn in Saudi. So he ended up, you know, going. It was effectively no money, and it was all the humorous, but also well deserved. And many were the people who were saying, that's it, he's burnt so many bridges, he should never play for England again. It is to his credit that he somehow found a way back, but I do agree with you that his best days are long gone, and I do not see him, you know, continuing to play at a higher level beyond this upcoming season, because of course it coincides with the World Cup, for which England should qualify, and it will remain to be seen what sort of a role he will play if he is selected for the squad. But I think it's fair to say that, you know, he's tarnished his own legacy, and I think he's lost a lot of goodwill. And even if he is able to achieve some of his ambitions, I think he will look back at these years following Liverpool and say, he's been his own worst enemy. He does have some qualities as a player and as a leader, and it is quite clear that he has been signed as effectively a replacement for Norgard. I wouldn't even be surprised if Andrew decides to give him the captaincy, although maybe you'll be hoping that someone else ends up getting it. And if there is, of course, a guarantee that Henderson will play in almost all of the team's games, it is likely that he will end up, becoming captain. It is going to anger you, I know, and you have every right to be angry. But all I can say is that, we will see what happens with Henderson, and time will tell whether or not the move becomes a success or a failure. I think Henderson deserves credit for his determination. Reminds me a little bit of how David Beckham remained determined to be involved with England. Even after moving to the LA Galaxy, he still ended up getting these loans to big European clubs and still proving that he was more than capable of hacking it. Maybe Henderson will be the same. In all likelihood, I don't think he will be. As far as Flecken is concerned, celebrate. I'm not going to argue with you on Flecken. I know he had his good qualities. All goalkeepers have their good qualities, but all goalkeepers have their bad qualities. And, no offense, Steve, but when it comes to Brentford goalkeepers, I already have that experience. And Kelleher, quality signing. I know that he's not quite at the level of Alisson Becker, but being given regular football will only help him with regard to his development. And I think he will definitely, go on to improve by leaps and bounds as a player. He will certainly become someone more important. But he also needs to make sure that he gets the confidence and the authority to really make that number one spot his own. And I think he will be given the number one jersey. I don't know if there's been any news about the Icelandic bloke, Valdimarsson. Is he still on your books?
He is still here, yeah. But I don't know what's happening with him. I guess he'll still be probably the backup. I would think there's not many others. I mean, we have got Ellery Balcom, of course, so I do rate. Another young goalie. I think he's very good. He has played in the cup runs before, when we played in the League Cup or FA Cup or whatever. So I know he's a very talented keeper. So we have got some decent keepers there. But with Kelleher, I think he's going to be our best one for a while. Probably since Raya, I guess. But, whatever you can say about Raya now, he didn't really let us down much when he was here, Raya. I agree. Really think about only about 3 mistakes, maybe if that, he made here. Although one was in the playoff, importantly, when we was going to come up. And, of course, he was found, not out of his goal as such, but he didn't save it from Kearney, who shot from the halfway line, and it went in at his near post, and he couldn't get over to get it. So we do know that he has made mistakes, but maybe not as much now as he's made at Arsenal, because you see him coming out all the time now thinking whether he's been told that by Arteta, I don't know, but now he keeps coming out a lot trying to be the outfield player that he was to start with, because he was, I think, maybe a striker or something he was at one stage as an outfield player. So, but really, when you're a goalie, you got to be, just keep to your goal. Why are you coming out that far? That's not right,
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely, 100%, 100%. And I only hope that, Raya will start to be a little bit more sensible this season. But you've definitely got a sensible bloke who will, in all likelihood, be your new number one. I hope that Valdimarsson will be told that he still has a future, because, from what I've seen of him, he does have some ability. Although I do seem to remember that he was in goal last season when you played against Plymouth, I think it was. I'm sorry for reminding you of that. But, obviously strengthening the team is a bit of a priority. And you will need some competition for places. And I think Valdimarsson will only benefit from that competition. And for what it's worth, he is still first choice for the Icelandic team. So you've got 2 international goalkeepers on your books still. I know that Flecken is a Dutch international, but he's still very much a second choice to Verbruggen. So, 2 first-choice international goalkeepers on your books. Happy days. And as far as the other purchases are concerned, Coyote looks quality. Milambo, I'm expecting them to do very well. As far as where where the Bees end up, I would love to see another top half finish. I think that should happen. But this team will take some time to sort of gel a little bit under Andrews, and I think you might need to temper your expectations for this season. You might need to forget about Europe, but definitely look to finish high in the table, in the top half. That's a great springboard from which you can move forward. And as far as Frank is concerned, we'll talk about him later, but my biggest fear is he'll be just another Graham Potter. And we all know what happened to Mr. Potter.
Yeah, he lost his wand in the end. There was no magic in the end there, Chelsea, was there? So anyway, but quickly going into this, we have got obviously still links with players, and Amari Hutchinson was one, of course. Nice. That has now got up to 40 mil because we missed out on the release clause of 35 million. I think it's too much, 40 mil for as good as he is, Amari Hutchinson. I'm not sure he's £40 million worth, which seems a lot, but we seem intent on getting him, Manny. So I don't know if that's still going to go ahead. I'm not sure, but it probably will. If we go mad, I mean, we'll have the money. We'll have the money from Bramo, of course, 71 mil. We know he's had the medical, and he's pretty much going to be confirmed soon as being a Man United player. Unfortunately, as sad as it is, and what I hate that he's gone. Fantastic, what a player, amazing quality. He's gone, and we resigned to probably losing Visser as well. But at the end of the day, we've got to find replacements for him, and obviously Hutchinson's going to be one. We're also looking at this guy, which really intrigues me. But I keep hearing from Warren, as you know, the Celtic fan. He's a big Celtic fan as well. Warren, but he's not going to go. He reckons he's not going. He's going to have to be a really big lot of money to get him to leave Celtic, and it probably will be. But I really rate this guy. He's amazing. This Daizan Maeda, obviously Japanese international, of course, as well, and he's an incredible player. And I hope we can get him. I mean, that would be a real statement if we could. Because I think this guy has got everything Bramo had and more. To be honest, he doesn't give up. He can play. He can assist. He can do balls through, good passes, great passes, and he can score as well. So that would be some signing if we could get this guy. But I can't see it happening. I really can't. It's going to be a massive lot of money, and have we got it? Will we have it to pay? I mean, we'd probably need all the money from Bramo, the money from Norgard, the money from Flecken, whatever we get maybe for Visser. We're going to need it all to maybe just get this one player. But I think if we could, what a season he could really get us up there next season. Because as much as we got a rookie manager, once you get real quality in, as you know, that takes you up. That gets you up there, even with a shit manager, as you know. So I hate to remind you again, Manny. But if you get a proper player in like this, quality player, he'd do something. What do you think about that? Would you think we got a chance or not of getting someone like him or Hutchinson or?
Yeah, the thing about these potential transfers, Steve, is that you've got to make sure that you're, in the words of Mick Hucknall, money is not too tight to mention. If things become very tight, then you are going to have to make some choices as to who you should and should not purchase. And the very mention of Maeda's name, I mean, I completely agree with you. He would be an absolute asset for Celtic, and I think Warren will testify as to how magnificent a player he truly is. I just don't know if Brendan Rodgers, for a start, would want to let him leave either. And would the Japanese bloke want to leave with the club still winning trophies and qualifying for the Champions League? it would be the opportunity, of course, to move to the Premiership is simply too good to turn down, as a certain Mr. Postecoglou found out, mate. And we all know how his tenure went.
Season, mate. Second season. Win something my second season, mate. Yeah. And he did.
Yeah,
he did.
He blimming well did it. But anyway, yeah, we'll talk about him later, believe you me. But I think if Maida does want to try and take the plunge, then it could be something that would be beneficial for you. But I would probably go so far as to say that it will have to be decided by whether or not you are able or willing to really raise the funds, because clearly, I can see why you're going for Hutchinson, the age, the potential, and so forth. But if you aren't able to, I'm a little bit surprised, really, that the club would see it fit to raise the release clause for him by about £5 million, because it maybe it's just a sign that they don't want to sell him. They would like to keep him, and people are going to have to pay a little bit more. And as we're seeing with Arsenal, sometimes a matter of about £5 or £10 million can make a very big difference. Penny pinchers, but I can understand your trepidation around Hutchison. I can also understand your trepidation around Maida. If you can raise the money to get both of them, then by all means do so. But don't bankrupt yourselves in the process. That's what I would say to you. But there's no doubt in my mind that Maida would really help the team, go up another level. I think Hutchison, if he joins a club now with greater stability, in theory, then it could be something that could help him relax and play some very good football. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. And if you do get Maida, if he does decide that he'd like to come to the Premier League, then you'll pull off a coup, because I'm a bit surprised that some of the bigger clubs have not gone in for him. He is the type of hard-working player, excellent quality. Obviously, Brighton fans will know about Mr. Matoma, and although Wataru Endo doesn't play as much for Liverpool, he is still an important part of their squad. So another Japanese bloke in the Premiership. All I can say is arigato gozaimasu. Thank you very much indeed.
Is that what that means? I don't know. I haven't learned Japanese, Manny, so I don't know if that's what that means. But
yeah, arigato means thank you, and when you add gozaimasu to that, it means thank you very much indeed.
Oh, cool, mate. Yeah. Well, it helps if you know all these things. You obviously do. You learnt Japanese or whatever. So, well, nice one,
mate. I haven't learned I haven't learned Japanese. Obviously, you learn a few of these isolated words which people will say.
Oh,
and,
right.
I've got a friend of mine actually who.
Yeah. Is he a Spurs fan at all? No. Is he Japanese? Is he? No, he's not. Is he? Is he Korean?
No, he's Malaysian of Chinese origin.
Right. Yeah.
This chap is actually a Japanese teacher who studied Japanese intensively. He is of Indian origin, of course, but he studied Japanese and he knows the vocabulary. And so at one point he wished me a happy birthday by saying "Obedeto gozaimasu," and obviously I had to learn how to reply. And yeah.
Oh, nice, mate. Yeah, it's always good to learn new language. I was never very good at languages, to be honest, when I was at school and that, but I picked up sort of the basics, but yeah, not great. But anyway, as you say, I think we could be at least. I don't think it will be a relegation problem, Manny, in the end, as much as people think. I don't think we're going to go down. I still think we're too good to go down, really. But that's been said before, isn't it? You're never too good to go down, as we've seen in the past with teams. So, but I just still think we got enough, and even with a novice manager, and I think this gives him at least a season experience of being in the Premier and about management. So I think he could, if we stay up, I think we will. I think he'd be even better for next season, wouldn't he? So, but anyway, let's move on, and I'm going to go to Brighton now, who also were going for Europe, weren't they, last season?
Yep, they were.
Another very good team in the mould of us, really. They go for these shrewd signings and come out with, gems and so forth. And they sold one of them, though, João Pedro, who's an absolute gem to Chelsea, and he's already paid off going there, isn't it, with him? He's been amazing already. And scored in that Club World Championship, which we're going to talk about, Club World Cup or whatever. So, we know what he can do. And obviously they got sold Adingra as well, who's another good player. Who else did they get rid of who's good? Obviously Pedro is the main one. Beadle's about, but he's on loan at Birmingham. I think he played in the under-21s, didn't he? He was the under-21
that's
goalkeeper. Right. It was very good, actually. So, there was no pranks from him. He was superb, I think, Who else? Do you know many of these others that left, Manny? I'm not sure, Jamie. No.
Don't know too many have left, but there is a big incoming, Maxim de Kuiper. He obviously was a part of the Bruges team that played in the Champions League, and in fact, he scored an own goal against Aston Villa when they played against each other in the quarterfinals. So obviously he'll be looking to come up against Unai Emery's team and maybe set the record straight. I don't know. We'll have to see. Kozia Dewberry, I think the name sounds very familiar. Arsenal youth. Arsenal youth. But he then went to obviously Brighton snapped him up, and now he's gone on loan to Bolton.
Yeah.
And I think you said it perfectly. A lot of these names, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know if I can spell, let alone pronounce them. But that just goes to show that that's really Brighton's model. They have an excellent scouting network. They're able to unearth these gems of players, and they end up creating some pretty good, pretty big stars. So, I think, again,
I think I've heard of Kostas from Olympiacos, I believe. I know him. I do know him. So
he might have been a part of the Olympiacos team that won the Conference League in 2024, if memory serves me right. That was actually the season that Aston Villa were in the Conference League and also trying to earn qualification for the Champions League. I think Villa lost to Olympiacos in the semi-finals, but they went on to earn Champions League qualifications. So you could definitely say that was bigger fish that they wanted to fry, and they fried it. Yeah. And only just, though, it has to be said. So this is going to be very exciting. And I think, after replacing De Zerbi, Hertzler was always going to have, his work cut out. And the frustrating thing about Brighton is that, they would play excellently against some really big teams and give other teams a bloodied nose. They took, they basically took, they drew against us in both of our games, and they proved that they were real niggly opponents. But in games where they'd be expected to win, they just come an absolute cropper. And I think one particular game which sticks in my memory, and one which probably turned a lot of Spurs fans against Mr. Postecoglou, was the 3-2 win over Spurs, wherein Spurs went up 2-0. They were up 2-0 at halftime, but they just ended up imploding in the second half. And that was when many Spurs fans decided, you know what, we've had enough, Ange has to go. And, we'll talk about Postecoglou later. But again, now that Hertzler's found his feet, it's going to be up to him to make sure that he can, really take the team a little bit further and try and carve his own legacy rather than try to repeat what De Zerbi did. And I think De Zerbi, it goes without saying, was a big improvement over Potter, because Potter wasn't quite able to get them into Europe, but De Zerbi did. Hertzler will obviously want to try to do things his own way and see how well Brighton do. As long as they've still got the likes of Mitoma and a few others, I think Welbeck's still going quite strong.
Yeah.
I think Evan Ferguson is not really on their books right now. I don't know if he's gone somewhere.
He's gone to Roma on loan, I think. I think he's on loan at Roma now. Evan Ferguson, yep, on loan at Rome.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that hasn't been reflected in this particular list, but that's gonna be a very big, a pretty big loss because he also was, certainly showcasing how good a player he was, and I think Hinchelwood's still very much there. Facundo Buonanotte will definitely regret leaving Brighton to go to Leicester because Leicester obviously, got relegated last season under Ruud van Nistelrooy. So. Yeah, they've still got a decent core of players. They like Bournemouth and to some extent Brentford. They've maintained their core. Maybe not so much Brentford because you've lost your captain, of course. But I think Brighton also will do well. I just don't see them necessarily qualifying for Europe. But they're going to start very well. They're going to win some very good games, and they will be up there challenging for Europe, but they might also lose a bit of steam and fall away. But maybe what Hertzler wants to do is continue establishing Brighton as a team that will do well in the Premiership, and then maybe in subsequent seasons they'll try and really, really kick on from there.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're a very good team. I can see them at least, probably getting in the top 9 or 8, something like that. I'm not sure they'll win a trophy, but I think they'll be right up there again. Very good team. But we move on and we go into Burnley, one of the promoted teams, of course. Do you think they'll have a better chance this time of staying up, Manny?
I can't see it happening. And obviously, with Jadon Anthony moving from Bournemouth to Burnley, the Bournemouth fans and obviously the people that up the cherries in all departments refer to Scott Parker as the bin man, and they still remember not very fondly the way his tenure ended with the cherries. They have, in theory, made some very good signings. Obviously, we remember Marcus Edwards, the former Spurs youth who played for Sporting CP under Ruben Amorim. He's now been acquired. Jadon Anthony, I'm not sure I know too much about Humphreys, Chelsea youth player, definitely. And then, of course, there's a chap named Fleming, I think, from Millwall, who's come in. They've made a lot of incomings. Max Weiss, Hartman, who should be another Feyenoord player. So these Dutch players are becoming very much in demand. Twanzebe's left.
What do you mean, Carl Walker there? I think he's finished. Another one I don't rate now. He's gone completely. No pace. Was a fault for England second goal against, is it or third goal against Senegal?
Yeah. I think John Cleese would sum it up perfectly. He's ceased to be. Bereft of life, he's literally resting in peace. He's a stiff. He's kicked the bucket, up the twig, bit the dust, snuffed it. Breathed his last and gone to meet his maker.
Yeah. Sadly, I think that's true. But still, do you think he might still, I suppose with his experience and everything, he may still be a good one for Burnley at least to sort of take charge of the defence? And
the ironic thing is, Henderson would actually have been a good fit for a team like Burnley rather than Brentford.
Yeah, she had gone there, to be honest.
Yeah. As far as Walker is concerned, I think his days as a top-level footballer are gone. But he'll probably want to just have one more year with some club to keep himself in Thomas Tuchel's thoughts. He's not going to be able to do a job against any of the big teams, but I think he will find a way to, make up for his loss of pace. It could very well be that he will possibly move into the centre of defence while someone else plays at right back. And we'll see how that works out. That's what a large number of these fullbacks do once they get old. If they don't have the energy or the speed to run and overlap, they move into the centre, they stay back, and they sort of put their feet up with some slippers and they smoke a pipe and all is well. But Burnley have, as I've said, made some very interesting, signings. I think Marcus Edwards is definitely one that has really caught my attention. Twanzebe's left one relegated club. I wonder if he's going to join another club that will end up getting relegated. I'm not too sure he'll be very happy there. But Burnley are going to struggle this season. I think the good thing is that they're obviously a much different team than when Vincent Kompany was managing them. And I do believe that they have a better chance of staying up now than they did under Kompany, but it's going to be very, very difficult. And it'll be interesting to see how they do. But they've released John Joe Shelvey, obviously ex-Liverpool and Newcastle. I think Shelvey's going to end up possibly, trying to find another smaller club and then just end up drifting and end up retiring. Nathan Redmond has also gone. Egan Riley to Marseille is very interesting, and Sarmiento has gone back to Brighton following the end of his loan spell. So it'll be very interesting, obviously, to see what the squad looks like come the opening Premier League weekend. And I think Trafford is still very much on the books. I think he'll be a lot wiser after that initial season from hell, which saw him, struggle a great deal. And then, of course, maybe he's a lot better for it. But it'll be interesting. If Burnley do well, they will just avoid relegation. But I don't know if I can necessarily see that happening.
I mean, but do we really want these teams going back down again, Manny? We had it last season. All three teams went back down, promoted teams. Do we want that again? No, we don't. We want to see them come up and do well, don't we? We want one of the teams to do something. So do you think that they've got a good chance or not really? I mean, you just said they might just stay up. So could they be one that avoid it just about?
Well, it's going to be interesting because obviously a large number of these. Obviously Scott Parker has experience of having, managed a relegation threatened team before. He was, of course, with Bournemouth and was fired midway. And the core of the side is still very much the team that got relegated under Kompany. But maybe, given that they're just a lot more battle-hardened, I think they might be a little bit stronger for it. And I agree with you. I don't want to see a situation where, teams work hard to get promoted from the Championship only to end up realizing they can't hack it in the Premier League. But it will remain to be seen just how well Burnley do. My prediction is that they will, if they do well enough, they will just survive in 16th or 17th. Otherwise, they're going to find it very difficult. But we will see. And as I said, Scott Parker will really have to show that he's learned his lessons from campaigns gone by. And the team also have to have a little bit of steel about them, which is probably why Walker's been brought in. Now, Walker, as we all agree, he's lost his speed, he's lost his dynamism, but maybe he'll find a way to sort of make things work around him and end up doing a job for Burnley, picking up points where, they would need it. And that's pretty much the height of it all. But some of the other signings also will want to prove a few points. I think Edwards will be I'll be very interested to see how well he does. Big up Red Devil United. And I think he's pretty much said it there.
He's waiting to come.
Yeah. So listen, I'm going to have to pop off and make a little cup of coffee. But if you,
I'll bring anyway. I'll bring you in.
So,
you come back when you can, mate. When you want to get back,
absolutely. I will come back. I promise you. Bye.
No worries, mate. See you soon. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Bye.
No worries, man. No worries. I'll bring Rich in. Big up to you, Rich. How you doing, my friend?
How you doing, mate? How you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad, mate.
I thought I'd jump on because I think it's an interesting question about promoted teams, and so I think last season when people were saying like Spurs, Man United, there doesn't seem to be a relegation fight because the teams at the bottom aren't very competitive, and I think for me it's always disappointing when, like, going back years and years, I always want to see promoted teams try and stay in the Premier League. So I think it's good to have that happen. And I was just going to ask you because I can't remember. I remember you beat Arsenal first game of the season, didn't you? When you got
Oh
promoted?
yeah. I remember that. Well, it was 21. Yeah, that long ago.
What do you think that you need to do to guarantee? Like, 'cause when I'm looking at teams like, say, Forest, they bought loads and loads of players, and they only just stayed up, and it feels a bit like a gamble. But what do you think Brentford did differently? Because I remember a couple of years before you got promoted, didn't you get to the playoff final, or did you finish? Was it you were a team that looked like you were gonna go for automatic promotion and missed out. Then you lost a few players, and like a year later you came up.
Lost to Fulham in the playoff. Yeah, we lost to Fulham in that first one, and then the second one, of course, we won and got up. But yeah, it was that was a shame. But then again, as we do, we come up. We sort of. I think we sort of got used to the Premier. We knew we couldn't play the way we played in the Championship. Because, that'd be the wrong way to do. We weren't over-attacking like we were probably at times in the Championship. Because actually, we were really attacking. And, we're scoring quite a few goals, Rich. So, I think when we come up, we sort of knew a way we had to play, a proper way. And make sure we were hard to beat. And, defend well, which I believe we did. I think we've lost that sort of spine a little bit in defence. I don't think it's quite the same defence anymore. At times we did sort of struggle. I think the season before last we kind of struggled a bit. We was down near at the bottom, but most of the time we've been up like middle, top half. Top 10, I should say, not top half, but we've been up there around abouts, and I think we've done well. I think we may struggle this time because of course we've got Andrews now and not Frank anymore.
Can I ask you about this? Because obviously there's been like a big saga with Manchester United and Mbeumo. You got the deal now, 65 million.
Yeah.
And there's the add-ons. But the add-ons,
yeah, it's only 1 million.
What do you reckon? Like, because you got a new manager, new goalkeeper. You lost a midfielder, but I think you bought is it Milambo? Haven't you? That I can't remember. Was it Malato or something?
Milambo. We bought Milambo. Yeah.
You're going to buy. You're going to get Amari Hutchinson, I think, is linked to you.
It's going to be a lot of money, mate. I'm not sure we want to get it. I mean, it's 40 million or more, possibly. I'm not sure he's worth that, but there we go.
Quite a lot, isn't it? How do you feel though? Because you lost Tony, then you got Wistern and Mbeumo were very good last season. You've lost Mbeumo, but it's a decent amount of money. What do you think? Because it feels a bit like Brentford.
You took a while playing us, Rich, so we had to hold out for that much. But yeah, he's worth that, man. He's worth that. He's going to do well for you lot. He's going to get goals and assists and everything. You're going to have some player there, man. You really are.
For ages, actually, he was my top target, and it wasn't just because of goals. It was like work rate, defensive actions. Like I think it's just a quality player. So I thought the price was not a problem. I think honestly, the issue regarding this is that. United's been run badly for years, so in terms of they just had to get the right structure. Like, I was frustrated it didn't happen quicker, but maybe there's a reason for it. We don't know, but it's hopefully. Are you happy with the price? For me, I'm quite happy with the price. I think it's a good deal from us.
We probably could have got even more for him. We could have really fleeced you lot for him. Got like 100 mil or something nearly. But no, I mean, I think that's incredible. That is really what he's worth. That type of player scored 20 goals last season. Yeah, first time he got 20 goals, but he's threatened it. I think most of the other seasons he's been amazing. So, if you get that again from him, that'd be incredible. Or half that, even. That'd be amazing if you could. But I think he's going to have even more there. He's got more sort of, I guess you can say some quality players at Man United. The odd one anyway, like Fernandes and like that sort of thing, but. No, there are more. There are some good players you've got, but there are some, shit ones as well, we should say. But no,
I think we'll see. I think we'll see. I think United are a big improvement, though. That's my 1 game a week. I think actually there's going to be maybe a couple more deals that we do over the window, which might define people's expectations. We need to get a striker, clearly, don't we? But how are you feeling like Brentford? Do you worry about any possible problems like staying in the league, or is that too extreme?
Well, of course I'm worried there, Rich. You know, because I want us to stay up, but you know it's going to be tougher this season, and it's new system, new manager, new backroom staff, almost new. Some new players. It's going to be hard to get used to, but I feel if we give him a chance, we'll see what he can do, Andrews, and if he doesn't do well, he'll go. We won't do an Arsenal and keep hold of him just like that all the time, you know, no matter how shit he does, you know, so I'm sure he will go. But I think we got a good chance of staying up. I think we are a good team still, and it's not going to be top half, but, you know, I don't care. As long as we stay up, that's good thing for me at the end of the day. So let's hope so, you know. I think you lot will be better than you were last season. We're certainly now with Ramo, definitely, and you got Cunha and even more to add. I'm sure you got plenty more players coming in, I expect. So you're going to be much better, aren't you, than last season? Well, you couldn't get worse than that, could you? Really, last season, Rick?
No,
So
I think that's got to be like a one-off for me. I generally don't know what we're going to be next season. It depends on a couple of signings, but I'm kind of hopeful. I'd like to try and do well in domestic cups. We haven't got European football, so that would be positive for me. How long are you streaming for today? I just want to jump on because of what you're talking about.
I don't know. I won't be on that much longer. I'll probably go for at least maybe nearly another hour. Maybe, I don't know. It depends, because I've got obviously Manny's coming back, and I've got a few more teams to talk about. And obviously the Champions, Club World Cup thing as well. We'll talk about Chelsea with that. So yeah, I've got quite a few things more to talk about. But obviously, yeah, it's going to be an interesting new season. Do you think it's going to be fairly exciting? I mean, there's been moves already, plenty of transfers and signings. And what have you made of it so far? Who do you think's got the better signings, would you say, at the moment? Liverpool?
I think I've been surprised by how much some of the signings have gone for. Like Liverpool are obviously the one where you've got to talk about. Wirtz, a lot of money. Then Ekitike, a lot of money. Like he's going to be with add-ons possibly 89 million. Wirtz like 120, 130, is it? Frimpong's a good signing. Kirkes is a good signing. I will say this about Liverpool. Like the signings are all really good, aren't they? They're the good signings. But they're also like Kirkes and Frimpong, they're not going to be immediately up to speed. Like Robertson and Trent were good players for Liverpool, very consistent players for a long time. So Liverpool are going to have quite a difference in defence next season. I think they signed very good players, but again, it depends how quickly they click together. So I don't know. I think everyone's expecting Liverpool to suddenly dominate the league and dominate Europe. I don't think it's necessarily quite as straightforward as that. We'll have to see how they. It sometimes is an adaptation process. Like we know that Wirtz is a quality player, but he's not going to get the time he has in the Bundesliga. It's going to be slightly different. I mean, we'll see, won't we? I think that they've got to be favourites, though. I can't think of any scenario where Liverpool aren't favourites. They won it easy last season. They've got to be favourites for me, unfortunately. I don't see if anyone's. Do you think? Obviously, it's like your show, so you go with the questions. But do you think anyone closes the gap? Arsenal haven't, for me, haven't closed the gap.
I don't know about them, mate. I think they're getting some of these decent players in. I don't know if they're still going to get Gyökeres, if that's still happening. Apparently, an agreement has been made, but whether it's still going to go ahead, I'm not sure. If they get him, they've got a good chance of maybe doing something. I still don't think they'll ever win the Premier. I can't see it with that manager. No way. So, no, I think there's going to be some others. Maybe Newcastle are always closing. They're going to be thereabouts again. Villa, maybe. I don't know. They were up there. Was it last season they was up a long way? Or the season before?
I think Villa got issues. You know that a lot of Arsenal fans will talk about Arteta. I think with Arteta, it's probably, if Arsenal drop to third, that might be enough to kind of get him moved. Like as long as he keeps finishing second, there's always this argument, isn't there? But Liverpool overtook him last season, and that's the first season for Slot. I mean, Liverpool didn't buy any players either. And
No.
if anything, that like if Arsenal back him, if they got Gyökeres, which I still think Arsenal get Gyökeres, if they don't win the league title or they're not in a title race at that point, even though they keep finishing second, you've got to consider it. I mean, you say, look, what are Arsenal going to do to get a title?
Yeah. Well, Manny's here. I'm sure he could maybe answer that, being an Arsenal fan. What would you say to that, Manny?
Big up, Rich, to you, Rich. Good to see you again, mate. I hope things are going well with you, and I wish you good luck for the season.
Manny. Yeah, good.
And
good.
I was talking about this with Steve sometime earlier, just when his stream started, because obviously, we were talking about Arsenal. I came in just about the right time to talk about the incomings and outgoings. And I think what frustrates me is that, as I said, we were willing to drop about 50 odd million quid for Noni Madueke. And again, there's going to be a lot of doubt as to where exactly he'll play. Will he play on the right as cover for Saka? Or will he play on the left as a replacement for Martinelli? We don't know, but it's still clear as day that we need a more consistent striker. And so the fact that we're still not even willing to just do whatever we need to do to make sure we get the Gyökeres deal over the line, are we really serious about things? And if you take a look at how the way our seasons go, the players we end up coming in who Arteta likes will do well for a period. We end up garnering so many points and have people, drooling over it, saying, take a look at this. Arteta's an absolute genius. Do not ever doubt our manager's talent ID ever again. But then at the worst possible time, we'll have a slump and the players will flatter to deceive and question, and we end up winning nothing. And it's about, breaking the cycle. I think if we can get the Gyökeres deal over the line, it means that, we are serious about breaking the cycle and saying, you know what, we need to have more consistent goals more than anything else. And the striker does make a very big difference. Look at Erling Haaland, look at the likes of Liverpool with, I know Mohamed Salah's technically not a striker, but, he was, of course, the Golden Boot winner. You need to have a more consistent goal scorer. And since Aubameyang left us, we haven't really had that. And one thing which I also would like to see is, more and more players coming in who will push some of the existing first teamers. And I think with Jurrien Timber having been signed last season, we've now got that person who will play on the right. I don't want to see him on the left ever again. And that means that Ben White now has a job to do to try to win back his spot. Left back will be a worry for me. I'd like to see the team becoming a little bit, smarter, a little bit stronger. We've lost Thomas Partey already. His contract is over, and I don't want to talk more about his situation. But but the team really has to show that it is willing to learn from its previous failings and just try and make sure they maintain their focus more than anything else. And if I can see that they can do that, then maybe I can have a little bit of confidence in them. But our transfer activity, our remaining during the remainder of this period, will definitely give me an indication as to whether or not this team is really, really serious or whether it's just going to be the same old carry on. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. I think for Liverpool as well, they might want to win this for Diogo Jota as well, because that was such a sad thing that happened, as we know. Him passing away in that car accident, that was horrible. I'm sure they want to be more determined to win it for him, wouldn't they? Liverpool, I mean, I know what you're saying about Arsenal there, but I think Liverpool have got that advantage as well, that they want to win it for him, for him and his memory there.
Yes.
Hell of a player, great guy as well, and of course he also lost his brother went as well. So that's a horrible thing. But let's hope they do. I think they're a good team, still great team. They've added to it, and kept Salah. That was an amazing move to get him to stay, and of course Van Dijk as well. So that's important. And they've still got the most of the team that Klopp had. You could say so. I think I don't know what happened there with Rich, but I think he froze or something there. So I've just taken him off for the moment, but I'll bring him back if he can sort that out. Anyway, but Yeah, so obviously, Rich was saying a lot about Liverpool here, Manny. Do you think they've still got what it takes here? I mean, as I say, they're going to win it for Jota, I'm sure, as well. And they still got a fantastic team, and nucleus of that is still there from last season. So.
Exactly. The core is still there, and that is really a sign that they are serious about it. And look at who they've acquired, Florian Wirtz. Even though they've let Trent Alexander-Arnold leave, I think they will have enough about them to suggest that they are serious about really challenging again. I think Kwanzaa's gone. I'm surprised that it was a permanent transfer. He was getting some minutes, of course, for them in the team, but maybe they felt it was best for his further development that he would do well. I'm surprised that the Frimpong deal has not been confirmed yet because, it has been confirmed. My bad.
Yeah,
it has been confirmed. Very well done. And Mamardashvili obviously is replacing Queven Kelleher, and he will probably be expected to be Liverpool's long-term number one when Alisson leaves or maybe retires. I don't know. And most of these guys, with the possible exception of Kwanzaa and Kelleher, of course, have been, peripheral players or youth players who haven't really had much of an opportunity. I see Yaros was used as a backup goalkeeper on a few occasions, but now he's gone to Ajax. So they've maintained the strong core and they've strengthened the team. I'm a little bit surprised that they haven't made any attempts to offload Darwin Núñez, although that could change in September maybe. But, this is really a sign of a team that's taking things very, very seriously. And I do expect them to be up there in the top two. And what can I say? The slot machine has, brought about some riches, it has to be said.
Yeah. Rich is back. You sorted your thing out there. I think you froze for a bit or something.
I think with the Liverpool situation, clearly they've won a title a while ago with Klopp. They want to go back to back, don't they? As the markings of a great team, but also they underperformed in Europe a bit, and they got outplayed completely when they got knocked out. So I think they want to probably put themselves back on the map there as well, because clearly that's kind of something that their history as well. They've got a good record in the European Cup and the Champions League. So I think there's definitely to try and prove doubters wrong, don't they? A lot of people think that City are going to buy the way back into the league the way they were buying players last season. But I think Liverpool, like I said, they've got the key pieces in place, haven't they? A good goalkeeper, Van Dijk. They got Salah. With Salah, you got a genuine goal threat, like a genuinely world-class goal threat, which I think most teams need. That was, if anything, that Manchester United's biggest problem last season was not really much goal threat. You take that out of the team. It takes most Salah out of Liverpool. The same reason, like when Arsenal were the best team that I watched, it was Henry. Like for me, they've never got any player close to him since. I think they've got good players in the team now, but have they got someone that really scares the forward, like as a forward attacking player? Saka does it sometimes. Martinelli for me is like quite inconsistent. You just haven't got like Havertz again. I don't really worry about him. Like when Henry was playing, you worried about him. Mo Salah, he's going to cause you problems. Haaland, outrageously good. Like people criticize Haaland for like saying, "Oh, his touch is this, his build up." Like Haaland is a world class finisher, unbelievable player. Like you don't come to the Premier League and bang in like 50 goals and but not be world class. So he gets. I don't understand why he gets a bit of criticism.
Well, he gets a lot of goals. You don't exactly do loads in the game. You don't see that many touches or this and that passing. But he's there at the time. He's there to get goals, which is his job.
Exactly.
To get goals.
Like, so do you watch your team win 2-0 and or 2-1 and go, Holland only had 3 touches, but he scored 2 goals? No one cares, do they? How many touches did I'm trying to think. Like Van Nistelrooy wouldn't be getting 50 touches, would he? But it'd be like touch, shoot, goal. That's what we want.
I don't think Visser does necessarily a lot in the game, but he gets goals for us at the right time, which I think was, important. So, that is your job. You're a striker. It doesn't matter if you do loads of good passing or this and that, as long as you're there to score. And
I think it's a modern thing, isn't it? Like when I've had this argument or debate on my channel where, there seems to be more and more kind of acceptance of like mediocrity in strikers, where people go, "Oh, but his link-up play is good," or his first who cares? Does he score goals? No. Is he effective? No. Then you need to get someone that is effective. I don't really care if If we got a striker that's link up plays somewhat crap, but he can score 20 goals, I'm not going to care because it doesn't matter. It makes our team win games.
He's got the goals. That's what matters. And that is the thing with Haaland. He's still going to get a lot of goals. I don't think he had probably his best season for goals last season, but we know what he can do, and I'm sure he'll come back and fire in for this new season. So I think Kirkes is a good one at the back there for Liverpool. That they've got him. I think that's an amazing signing from Bournemouth. I really do. I know we're linked with Harvey Elliott from Liverpool. Whether we could do that, I hope that'd be an amazing signing for us.
You got Henderson, haven't you? You got Jordan Henderson.
Yeah, Rich. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to go on about that again. I don't really want to go on. I've already ranted about that. So,
okay, I would just say, okay, just out of from a neutral fan point of view, I see Brentford as a club that unearths younger players, talented players, and makes them shapes them, then maybe makes profit for them, or they help you get your team up the table. I just thought that just seemed like a strange one. Unless I don't know, I've been following your pre-season, but do you need Jordan Henderson in any way? Is there a lack of experience, or is there a reason you could see where they've gone from? Because for me, it just seemed like a strange one.
No, I ain't got a Scooby, to be honest, mate. I ain't fucking Scooby about that. I wish we hadn't got him, to be honest, but there we go. I just hope it's only for one season, because I don't want him there anyway.
How old is he?
35.
Weird one, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, he's got a lot of experience. Yes, we know he helped some players out with his, in the dressing room or whatever, this and that. But he's, what reason is that to get him? And he's finished now as a player, as far as I'm concerned. And
the Premier League's not forgiving, is it? Like, Premier League doesn't take any prisoners if you get a bit slow.
No, I didn't want him, but we got him, and I suppose, we just see what happens. He might turn out to be really good, but to be honest, I still don't like him anyway, so it won't matter to me. But anyway, yeah, we sort of done that, but at the end of the day, let's go back to these, and I think I was going to go through Chelsea as well, because we'll talk about them. So they've obviously signed a few again. Of course, João was a good one. João Pedro, quality from Brighton. And obviously Delap. I still think Delap's a good player. A lot of them didn't want him at Chelsea, the fans, but I thought he's really good, and he's always going to be good. I mean, at Ipswich, he was the only one. It was all him, wasn't it? More him than Ipswich against team scoring and so forth. So I still think he'll make an impact there. I think he's a very good young player. I think he might play for England as well. So I really rate him. I actually thought maybe we could have gone for him, but would have been a good striker for us. Because obviously if Issa goes as well and everything, so we're going to need a new striker. So. But yeah, what do you make of him, Rich? Do you think he's good enough with Chelsea early into that?
No brainer, isn't it? £30 million for a Premier League striker. That's okay. Forget how many goals he's got. He's playing in a team that got promoted 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. A lot of these players got promoted 2 years in a row. They're going to massively struggle. He got 12? Was it 12 Premier League goals?
Yeah, I think so. And they're struggling
you look at that and think, how many chances does that team create? It's not loads. He got 12 goals. He causes problems. A decent finisher. You only have to add 2 or 3 more goals, and people start saying, "Oh wow, what a great return!" So it's not that far off it. He's a young player, £30 million. I just said to my Man United fans, because people are going, "Oh, we need Gyökeres." I got £30 million. Get him in. Worst case scenario is you probably flip him for 50 million in 2 years' time. He's just a good player. It's a no-brainer. Chelsea got a good deal there, 100%, because whatever his salary demand was, they're going to sell him for a profit whenever they want to, because I just don't see how it doesn't work out.
No, I think it's a great signing myself, and a lot of them are, moaning about it. So I don't know. I would have loved to add him at the Bees, but we haven't. But what do you make of it, Manny, as well? Do you agree with Rich there as well?
Oh, Absolutely, absolutely, and for the reasons that he said, not just for what he could possibly provide, but also the prospect of, as Richard's mentioned, selling him on for a decent profit. And let's remember that for accounting purposes, when you talk about the profit, it's basically in comparison to the book value and not the purchase value. But that's another thing to talk about for another day. And I think there is a lot of promise to him, and he certainly showed in the Club World Cup that he is more than capable. And just taking a look at some of the other incomings, Jamie Gittens has come back home from Germany. Another one.
A good player.
Obviously a teammate of a certain Mr. Bellingham. And then another Willian has come in, but not Borges. This is Esteval from Palmeiras, another star from the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
They're also doing their bit to make some pretty good signings and also allowing some fringe players to walk away. And it looks though Marcus Bettinelli will be the new Scott Carson, another guy who's just happy to, take the mickey by effectively just sitting on the bench, picking up a pay packet, a few medals, and living the life of Riley. I don't have respect for such players, but it is what it is. Hopefully he'll get a few games, but I can't see it happening.
No.
And we've already spoken about Petrovic and Madueke. So Chelsea also, if you take a look at it, Steve, have kept the core of the side that did well for them last season and have also chosen to add a few players. They're also going to let quite a few of their other fringe players go. I think Axel Disasi will be allowed to leave, among others.
Yeah.
But
so of course Jackson, as we know, probably going to go.
I hope and pray he doesn't come to Arsenal. I really hope he doesn't come to Arsenal.
I hope he doesn't go to Man United as well.
You don't want him either, United.
No, but Rich, you've already got Mbuemo, so you're lucky there, you know.
Yeah, you got a proper player there, Bramo. So yeah,
he's a good signing actually. I'd said that as well. You know G Wolf, don't you, Steve? You know G Wolf.
I know him. Yeah.
We had like a big debate for a long time where I was trying to convince him the merits of Mbuemo. He thinks Mbuemo should be like £45 million. I said, look, let's be realistic here. Look at the window. Look at what players are going for. And Mbuemo for me was like 70, 75 is fine. Like he's someone that what I said to him like as an argument, as a debate. What's his weakness? Like he gets assists, he creates chances. He's he's very athletic, covers a crazy amount of the distance. Like, there's a lot of work off the ball, scores goals. Yeah. What do you want? Like, what's his weakness? What's he not good at? It's like there isn't one, is there? Does he fit what we want to do? Like 100%. Is like for me, it's like I'm surprised there wasn't more competition. Actually, I know that other teams got different issues, but I'm surprised that we got kind of pretty much a kind of clean path towards him.
Yeah, well, I think Spurs are interested, of course, with Thomas there now as manager. I believe he was after him as well. I think Newcastle were as well. So there was other interest from other teams, but
Newcastle.
Well, he wanted
by the price. I think Newcastle. From speaking to Newcastle content creators, they definitely lean towards younger players, and I'm not saying that, but I don't think Mbuemo's old, but I think they were looking at trying to get. They probably had different targets in mind. Like Elanga was a little bit cheaper. For me, not as good, and that's kind of the route they went. But it just worked out for us, I think.
Well, Elanga's got more pace. Let's be honest, but loads more pace. But yeah, I don't think he's as good as Bramo. No way. But that's some player you got, and I think if you do add a bit more, I'm sure you'll be up there probably. I think you'll be at least maybe in the top 6, 7. Do you think Man United could be?
I was hoping for I would say that European football has to be achieved, but top 4 is quite tough. I think with this one, there's going to be a bit of a adaptation process because you're going to get a lot of different players into the team, and I think we're going to see quite a few new faces. But I think Cunha and Mbuemo, I like our defence actually. I think Aiden Heaven, Yoro, very young. But get a good goalkeeper is probably critical for us. I think if we get a goalkeeper and a striker, I think there's midfield issues, but I think a goalkeeper and a striker does make us a lot more effective next season. But it's potentially a massive window for us. There's a lot of issues to sort out. I feel like we've sorted out 2 with Mbuemo and Cunha, and every player we're bringing in, I'm looking at them as a first team improvement, which I think is the right direction. So as long as we're moving in the right direction, I think fans are going to be satisfied somewhat. It's a bit like, Arsenal rebuilt over a couple of seasons. So I think at the moment our expectation is at least get the core players fit, sorted out, get a striker and we can be happy with for the next 4 or 5 years, get a goalkeeper in, and I think we can start scrutinizing the rest of the team next season. But we have to make sure we get those positions sorted. Otherwise, it's still going to hold us back a lot, I think.
Yeah, you released a fair few there and loaned out as well. Obviously, Ericsson is gone. I don't know where he went in the end. He said he's released. So, Evans obviously retired. Probably about time, wasn't it? So, Victor Lindelof as well is released. Don't say he's gone to any club. So, I suppose they're still like a free agent there. I don't know where they're going to go yet. But who's that? Sonny Al-Joffrey? I don't know who that is. Out on loan to Notts County. Do you know any of these, Rich? Dan Gore?
I think there's going to be a lot of players leaving, and I think fewer coming in. So, like the Europa League last season, it was about an extra 15 games for us. So, a lot of extra games. So, I think we're going to have less players coming in than players leaving the club, but hopefully the quality's improved. Like also, Lindelof was pretty much coming on as like an 80-minute sub a lot of times. He was just there as like cover. And I think Evans barely played at all towards the end of the season. Even Ericsson didn't really play many games at all. So those players leaving, effectively probably not being replaced, but they didn't really play. Also, so Rashford, he wasn't part of our squad from January onwards anyway. Sancho was loaned the whole season. So lots of players leaving that actually had very little impact on our team. So these players that won't be really missed. Also, Anthony was ineffective. Malacia was on loan. So most of these players going, if you add up all the minutes and matches they played, we probably and Mbeumo probably covers half of it. And we've got Cunha coming in. So I think we're going to have a better first team, but we probably won't have loads on the bench. There is a couple of academy players like Kone's expected to get more opportunities. Leon was a cheap signing who looks like he might be forcing his way into first team contention. So we might have quite a different team, but I think we're going to be having a smaller squad. So I think the first team plus 4 or 5 substitutes is going to be like what we see most matches. We've only got one game a week a lot of the time, so I think we're going to see a smaller squad, but hopefully the quality, like the average quality, is improved.
So you're looking to cull a lot like that squad. Get a lot of the squad out.
I think so. I think it's just natural. Like the contract's expired, and we just we've made some mistakes in the past of just keeping players too long, and we've made mistakes of giving players that are too old too many contract extensions. I think that sort of thing is going to take about 1 or 2 years to work its way through the system, because you can't sell Luke Shaw, can you? Because it's injury prone, he gets paid too much. So we just have to wait for him to finally go. So that we can't speed it up, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know the hell you're going to sell him to, but I don't think even we'd have him the B somewhere. We can get some shit like Henderson, but we don't even want Shaw, I don't think. But no,
I think it's fair to say the clubs are going to be very lukewarm on Luke Shaw.
Yeah, you sure about that? Sure, yeah.
Good one, Steve.
You might go to a team that do a good buffet or something. Yeah, somewhere. No, I shouldn't say that about him, but but yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he'll go somewhere eventually. But yeah, so where do you think you'll finish this season then, Rich? You got a prediction?
I was going to say, I think Europa League positions should be our target, because I see it as I know people keep saying rebuild. I think this is a rebuild, isn't it? Like when we're moving Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, and probably Garnacho maybe in one window, this is a significant change in that direction. People like Lindelof, been at club for ages, are gone. And people like Casemiro potentially frozen out of the squad. He might not play many games. And lots of players coming in, like say that spending like over 120 million on 2 players in the attacking positions, and actually they're somewhat less risky, I think, in the past. We know what they can do. Cunha and Mbeumo have been great players for a few years in the Premier League, so we know what they can do. I think we're going to see quite an aggressive process as well regarding trying to get other players in and out of the club. And maybe it looks like, I know it's the difficult job, but Barada Wilcox, Jim Radcliffe, etc. These people behind the scenes, they've got a clear plan of what they want to do, and I think that unfortunately, like I mean, it's funny for you guys because you're opposition fans, but the last couple of seasons we probably made some of the worst transfers in our club's history. With say Sancho, Anthony, Mason Mount, Casemiro, Rasmus Højlund, like all these players over the course of like 1 or 2 years, we bought in like utter rubbish for expensive money. And unfortunately, you know, as soon as Ineos come in, what do you do? Like, it's really difficult, isn't it? Because you got expensive rubbish on very high salaries. They're getting paid too much. You can't sell them. It's difficult. So all they can do really is like loan them out, get the contracts off the club. Like you know, the Barcelona Rashford situation. That saved us. We saved about 17.5 million. We saved by getting a salary off the books, which is ridiculous. And
he's only on loan at Barcelona. So do you think he go there permanently, or do you think that
I don't know. My honest reaction is like Barcelona's financial situation is the most bizarre in world football, isn't it? Can Barcelona afford him? Like Nico Williams didn't think they could afford him, so he went back to his club. I don't know. I hope so. I hope they can.
You want to offload him, really, didn't you? He's not exactly going to play there anymore, is he? At United, so.
I hope it works out though. I know there's a lot of people that are quite negative about players. I don't have any what's the word? I don't have hatred towards players like some people do. Like I don't like Sancho because of his attitude, but Rashford has, over his career, has been a key player when we've lifted trophies. Like FA Cup finals, he's been a key player. Scored a lot of goals in the League Cup run a few years ago. So no, I say good luck to him because it benefits us if he does well. And let's hope he's still only 27, but he's played football for almost a decade. So he could still play for a few more years. But I just worry with Barcelona. It's not about Rashford. I think it's Barcelona's financial situation that they tend to be a club that mess people around.
Yeah, but they do seem to take him on. I mean, they had Aubameyang there for a while. So you remember that, Manny, didn't you? When he went to Barcelona.
Yes, I do. And he actually considered that period at the Camp Nou, or actually the Louis Companies, I should say, the best period of his career, because he, you know, obviously had an opportunity to prove himself at an even bigger club than Arsenal. Yes, I went there. And he showed that he was more than capable of still hacking it at a continental level, and certainly at Marseille he proved that. And of course, he has left his Saudi club by mutual consent with a view of going back to Europe. So if the return to Marseille doesn't go through, he could definitely join another club in Liga. I don't think he'll join a Premiership club, but that will but you know, at least we can say we got the best of him there. And I think everything that Rich said does seem to be a little bit spot on. I do think he is a little bit harsh on Casemiro, because there was a point last season where he had improved, you know, his play quite immeasurably, and was also a pretty key player in United's run to that Europa League final, which, you know, they ended up losing. And just for the record, Rich, I was rooting for you lot that day.
I thought you might have. I think that's fair.
Yeah, you have to.
Manny. I was going to say, I'll say that's fair, because I'm looking at next season thinking next season we don't have the Europa League. So we saw Casemiro being really effective in the Europa League. And I think there was games where it was like arguably one of the best players on the pitch. But unfortunately, the way we're playing in the Premier League, it wasn't very successful for Casemiro. I hope I'm proved wrong, but I get the feeling that he's going to struggle to maintain a position in his team unless we can somehow try and close the gaps in midfield, try and actually improve how we're kind of set up, particularly when we concede possession. It's that first kind of 10 seconds after conceding possession where there's a lot of gaps and people can play through us. But I think from the outside, Casemiro was very effective in Europe, but we don't have that anymore. So next season, it's all about the Premier League, and I'm not sure whether. Also, with Casemiro on his way out, because he's only got 1 year left, I think Ruben Amorim, if he's got his long-term Manchester United career planning, he's going to be looking forward to trying to find some solutions for the future, because people like Kobe Mainoo have got to be someone you've got to try and build around. If he can't be successful in the team, it's more of a concern. like Casemiro, best case scenario, we only get, he's going to be gone next season anyway. So I think we're probably looking to try and get Bruno to be effective somewhat. So midfield's a worry. I'll say that. I'm not sure how we've set up effectively, but there should be enough players in there to actually. Also, Kone's the academy player that maybe we see more of, that maybe gets a bit of a run out.
Yeah. So do you think you get a trophy next season, Rich, or not? And you think you can get a trophy?
Why not? I don't see why we can't go for it. Even with an underperforming Erik ten Hag team playing dreadful football in the Premier League, we won the FA Cup and the League Cup. So I don't see why not. Because last season, Manny will not like me reminding him, but we managed to beat Arsenal in the FA Cup, and the year before we managed to beat City and Liverpool, and they were quite good performances. So I think we got performances in our team, just no consistency. So I would not be surprised if we won a domestic cup, but still lost quite badly in a lot of matches. I don't think we'll be as bad as the last season, but I think we'll still be a bit hit and miss.
Yeah, I would concur definitely, and I'm sorry for cutting in, Steve. And you do have a point about Casemiro possibly only really being suited for a certain, a competition, but in the Premier League, maybe he just can't quite hack it. Maybe the pace is a little bit too high for him. If I were him, I actually might want to consider maneuvering a move away from United, because look, he's also going to want to try and force his way back into the Brazil national team with his former club manager at Real Madrid, Carlo Ancelotti, the new boss. Maybe he's already come back into the team. I don't know, but he will want to maintain.
I think he did get back into the team, actually. So I think it's something that the same sort of thing, isn't it? Because Bayern should probably try and engineer an exit as well, because he wants to play for his country. But also, Garnacho has been told that if he leaves, he's got to play in one of the top 3 leagues to maintain his international position. So it is definitely influencing, I think, the transfer window, because you've got to look at it. Some players, it is important for them.
Absolutely. A lot of the South Americans, I think, in that respect are, really feeling the heat.
Have you got anything? Sorry, go on, Manny. What were you going to say?
I will just say I would agree with for the.
Your mic's a bit crackly there, mate.
Hold on a minute, please.
Not very good.
What about now?
A little bit better. Still crackly, but yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to say very briefly, and then I'll just adjust the mic. I think I do agree with Rich's assessment that a cup run is definitely not beyond them, and I actually do think that you can challenge for one of the domestic cups next season. I think the Premiership might be a little bit of a step too far, but I think I'm going to have to say now it is going to be a very, very long rebuilding process, not unlike the process that Alex Ferguson had, where Ferguson did actually win a bit of silverware early on in the FA Cup, if I'm not wrong. And all I can say is that you seem to be prepared for the long haul. So I wish you good luck with that. Not having Europe will not necessarily be the blessing you will think it is, because let me tell you, there was a season where we didn't have European football, and we were expected to do as well as we did, and we ended up as we wanted to do, and we ended up getting pipped to 4th spot in Champions League football by a Spurs team that sacked their manager midway through the season and brought in another one. So you're going to have to really make sure that you focus a great deal on just getting the balance of the team right. And I think it might be beneficial if Ruud Amorim tells a few more players, besides right now, their services may not really be required, that they will struggle to get game time. Because one thing you can't afford to have, as you did with the Ronaldo Ten Hag situation, is squad disharmony or any kind of ill feelings between players and the manager. And hopefully, that's going to be solved before the start of the season.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I agree pretty much. I mean, try and sort your mic out there. It's not great, mate. It's crackling and everything there.
I'll ask you, Steve, because I know Manny's got a mic issue at the moment. Do you think it's considering Man United have been poor, right? We accept that for a few years, but they've managed to get a couple of trophies. What do you think regarding? Are you surprised that Arsenal don't try and do Arsenal not take cups seriously enough? because they should have got to a final recently. They should have won something given the team they got. They beat Real Madrid twice in Europe last season. How is it they're not able to get over the line or they're not even getting close to winning a domestic cup for the last few years?
Well, I think there's 2 words to say to that. Mikel Arteta. I think a lot of it is his fault, I'm afraid. Because either he doesn't put importance to it or he doesn't get them to go out there. I think they play negative sometimes still. They're going backwards. And you think,
I
well...
thought that against... Do you remember, like, you're old enough to remember Manchester United versus Arsenal, sort of 1998 to like 2004-ish. Then sometimes the matches between Manchester United and Arsenal in that time period would define who wins the league. It was that close. And I get the feeling that, do you remember when Arsenal went to the Etihad to get a 0-0 draw and fans were like, oh, this is a good result? I was thinking, that's the game you need to win the league, because you can't rely on any other team in the league beating City. You've got to beat City to win that league. Like, we had to go and beat Arsenal in difficult games. We had to beat Arsenal in the FA Cup in 1999 as well. You've got to beat them to actually... You can't rely on any other team in the league. Like City won, 9 games in a row, 10 games in a row, they win the league title. And I was thinking, Arsenal, you should have beaten them. That was your chance. If you can beat them, that's how you win the league. And I didn't think Arteta was brave enough in those matches, and it cost him. Like 2 years ago, they should have won that title. They had the team, they just didn't go for it in that game. I think they were worried about losing, and that's probably the difference, I think.
I just think that he's also stubborn. He don't want to play. He only wants to play a certain way, and he doesn't care what anyone else thinks. And he didn't really want a striker. Let's be honest. This thing with Gyökeres is dragging on.
Yeah, it's not his choice, is it? Like, it isn't like Berta wants Gyökeres, he wants Sesko. I mean, Sesko's probably still a good signing. I mean, maybe we get Sesko. It seems to be that.
His wage demands are quite high, I believe, aren't they, or something? Or is it to do with that? He wants a lot of money, I believe.
I think he wanted a release clause. But I'd be happy. We got Rasmus. I'm happy if we get Sesko or we get anyone that's got like feet that can kick a ball.
Yeah, do you think Højlund can actually do something this season? Though he was, I think is it just he's not quite up to it just yet? The speed of the Premier, or it's all different for him from where he was before, or do you think he's got experience to do it?
I think he's just somebody that should have stayed in Italy until he got a bit more advanced as a player. It's when you see like players and think that some players are good enough when they're like 18, 19, 20. I think with Rasmus, he probably should have developed a bit more. The Premier League, he's not going to learn because the level's like so high and it's caused stress. Maybe next season will be better with different players around him, but I still think I'd say it's still a tough ask, isn't it? Because you've watched him as well. He's like nowhere near the level at the moment.
No, unfortunately not. Yeah. Him and Xerxes, I suppose. Do you think he'll have a better season, Xerxes? There are things that he looks quite good about him now. I can see hold-up play, he's pretty good. It's just obviously the finishing, I suppose.
I don't mind Xerxes, but I mean, again, Manny will probably... the FA Cup match against Arsenal was one of his better performances, but I don't know. I think he's a bench player still. I think he's one where if he can suddenly kick on, it'd be a surprise to me. But I just don't really. I'm just wondering why we bought him. I don't want to be harsh on Xerxes. I just don't know if he's going to offer enough in the Premier League to any team. Like for us, we need a player that's going to be more effective. I think he looks good for people that say if you slow down the league or say European football or potentially international football, I think Xerxes looks more effective. But in the Premier League, I think you can't really see it unless you like we're used to it because we're Premier League fans, but you just don't get any time, do you? Like as soon as you take a touch, players are on you. You got to have a decision made before you get a touch. And
split second like that. Yeah, you got to be quick. Good. Yeah. It's you got to be sharp in this league, as you say. But I think there might be something good about him. He might kick on like Højlund. So you never know, really. But you got to give him another chance. They've had at least one season experience in the.
I think 1 year it's harsh, isn't it? 2 years, like Rasmus has had 2 years now. So for me, I think it's like the end of the line. Whereas Xerxes had less than 1 year, I suppose, because we changed the managers as well, so it's not the best year. I'd say if you have someone for 2 years, like from a different league, sometimes it's like takes them a few months to get used to it. But by season number 2, if they're not, then I think it's probably time to move them on.
Definitely. I think we spoke about United enough now, Rich. I think. Well, what do you think about City, your neighbours and nemesis? Do you think they will have a better season, come back and do better this season?
I think City have got a problem, like quite a big problem, and for me it's their defence. You know, against I didn't watch the World Club Cup, I'll be honest, but I did watch some highlights of one match, and it was Al Hilal versus Man City. Okay, and the reason I watched that was obviously because Al Hilal scored quite a lot of goals and knocked City out.
Yeah.
But the thing I saw there was like City were quite dominant in possession, and I didn't watch the whole match, but City fans will say they had the majority of the play. But I also remember watching City versus Sporting Lisbon in the Champions League, and I think City in the past, okay, all good teams like concede possession, win it back, concede, and you're not going to be controlling the game completely. But City look more vulnerable this year than I've seen them for a long time when they lose the ball. Like maybe getting Rodri back helps, but I don't think their defense is as good as it used to be. And I think they're going to concede more goals. And I think with that in mind, Liverpool and Arsenal got the best defenses by miles, in my opinion, and they're going to be the two teams that fight out the title. I think City might have the best. They might have the best goal scorer, but in those sort of tighter games, I think City will concede more goals. Whereas I think Arsenal and Liverpool can ride out a bad performance and not concede many goals. I think City might be more vulnerable. So I think City are better than they were last season, but I don't think they can buy their way out of it as effectively because their defense needs a bit of a rebuild. I think I think they need too much improving from last season to be the dominant team. I could be wrong, but I would say that for me on paper at the moment, I'd put them third, and I think that honestly that the top four could be tighter than last season, but I don't know. I'm not convinced that they're going to be back to where they used to be because I think too much has changed in their team. A lot of players dropped off. A lot of players got too old. Is Rodri going to be as he used to be? I don't know. There's a few question marks, isn't there?
Well, they obviously did miss him, Rodri. He's a big miss for them. But I think now he's back. Hopefully, they probably will do better. But of course, De Bruyne is gone. That's going to be an even bigger miss for them in going.
Cherki's quite exciting. I'll say that Cherki's quite exciting, but again, defensively, he didn't really do much at Lyon. So he's good on the ball, but again, a bit experiment. Like when he concedes possession, is that going to put more pressure on the team? So he's not really been known for off the ball work or tracking back. Naipan don't know much about. He's a very young player, but
again, he's a good player though. Very good one from Wolves there, Aït-Nouri. So
yeah, he's good. He's a very good signing.
Yeah, Reinders, as you say, not sure, but he could be good, very good. Obviously, AC Milan, good team, so he must be a good player.
You got three players there from different leagues as well. So I think Cherki actually, from what I've seen from Cherki, we played Lyon, remember as well, and he was a good player against us with 10 men. And I think Cherki looks like somebody that I think he will suit the Premier League quite well. I think the French league, physically looked ready. Athletically quite good as well. Good player actually. I wonder whether he'll be able to play the way he did for Lyon at Man City, because for me, Jack Grealish was always like a great player for Villa. Somewhat, I don't know, disappointing at City for me. But I know they won a lot of trophies, but individually, I wasn't as impressed by him.
I think Grealish is leaving, isn't he? There. Do you think he's going to go, or
I think he's going to be going.
I don't know exactly where, but it's going to be a lot of money because he's going to be. Will he be cost as much as he was bought for? How much was he bought for again? I can't really remember.
He was bought for 100 million.
100?
Stephen. I don't. There's no way
to get that.
Go for no. All they can do is try and hope that they can try and sell him for a price which is higher than his current book value, because obviously with the principle of amortization and depreciation in value, the club can at least and get some sort of a profit that way. But Grealish literally is. I mean, he's at the point of no return, and he has to decide how he wants to, be remembered once he retires. But I remember speaking to you, Steve, before Rich came on briefly about how, City might be changing their entire defensive structure because, Rich, you'll probably know that Pep.
Oh, he's gone again, I think.
Pep. He is. I heard him because Pep usually loves to use the inverted fullbacks quite well, and that tactic has been sort of, copied and recycled for want of a nicer word by Arteta. But by buying some who was a classic left back and left wing back, it seems to me that he's willing to, change his approach, because I keep telling people that the inverted strategy often costs us goals at the worst times. And I think, Rich, you were talking about the previous season when we should have beaten City at the Etihad, and then when Aston Villa beat us at the Emirates, it was basically through that left back position, that full back position, that we conceded both of those goals. And that just goes to show how pivotal it is to make sure that you have a better defensive partnership in the defensive structure. So I think Guardiola is willing to change. I'm not too sure why he brought Kusanov, but some reminders.
You keep cutting out there, Manny. I can't hear you all the time.
Hold on. Can you hear me now, please?
I can hear you now, but it's going every now and again. Sound there.
Yeah, and Nipan from Norway is also very good signing. I think other clubs were interested in him, but City beat them to the punch. So I know people talk about City buying their way out of it, but with Rodri back, obviously he will, have to be used very, very carefully. But I do think City will be able to somehow recover. And even last season, they finished, I think, third it was, and reached a cup semi-final. So it was a terrible season by their standards, but that's a season that other teams would give their right teeth for. So I think, City will find a way to come back, and, they're obviously going to want to put the memories of that horrible season behind them, and many of the old players are gone. I certainly don't see Ilkay Gundogan lasting for them. Going to freshen the team up, and I think they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, I think they're going to be there or thereabouts. I don't think they'll win it. I still think it'll be Liverpool. I think I can see them maybe winning it again. Maybe Arsenal possibly second again and City third, something like that. I think Newcastle will be up there as well. I think they'll be there or thereabouts. And there's their team there. Obviously, they've only really got Elanga in and somebody called Cadero from Malaga. So, I know they were after Vissa as well from us. Whether that's still going to happen, I don't know. But we want at least 50 mil or a bit more for Vissa. So, I don't know yet. We'll wait and see. If they can give us that amount, they can have him, I suppose. But it's going to be a big amount because we were letting Bramo go. So we was going to keep possibly one of the other ones, like Vissa. We'd maybe keep him, but apparently he still wants to go. So looks like maybe Newcastle, maybe Forest. I'm not sure. Even Spurs.
Can I just ask a question, Steve, about your team?
Yeah, go on, mate. Yeah.
Who have you bought so far, like in the transfer window? Because I know you bought the guy. I keep getting his name wrong. Starts with an M. Is it Milan?
Milano. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think it would feel a bit of a strange signing if you bought Amari Hutchinson at 40 million? That's a lot of money, isn't it? Considering, I don't think he replaces Mbeumo in any way. I think I was actually thinking you guys would probably buy 3 or 4 players to replace Mbeumo at a cheaper price, but the market's expensive, isn't it?
It is.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, if we get him, we get him. I think there is others we're after. I'm sure there are a few others. So we might not go for him in the end. It might be someone else. But You know, I think we've got to find replacements because certainly if Issa goes as well, we're going to need another good striker. So we've only really got Thiago, who's still there, didn't even play last season. So he had maybe a couple of times, if that, last season. So we got Shardy, of course, who he's very good. Got into double figures last season for the first time, about 12 goals or something he got. So you know, he's gonna get even better next season. So I think we will get a few more. You know, it's at the moment we're just sort of rumours and linked to and things like that. But I think the Hutchinson one, I'm not sure. I don't think we should go too high with that, 40 mil or whatever. I think it's too much. This Maeda, I'd love to get Maeda from Celtic. I think he's superb. Looks great. It might be a lot of money though for him. I think he could be the ideal replacement for Bramo though. He'd be brilliant. So remains to be seen, mate. We're going to wait and see. But you know the deals are going on and things are happening. So I'm happy with it, sort of thing. I mean, even with Andrews there, we're still getting deals. You know, getting a few players in or selling. So it's all going okay. But I mean, we're just going to go through these quickly now, guys. And really, Newcastle, where do you think they're going to? Do you think they could be up there this season, Rich? Or
honestly, without Newcastle, I'm not sure because I think Champions League football is a big stretch. Like, there's a lot more games, a lot high level competition, and they haven't really got. Like, I know Wilson got. Is he gone as well? I'm trying to think.
Yeah,
he's gone.
Yeah,
I don't think they've got a good squad, but I think it's going to be harder for them. So I think I can see them dropping out of the top 4 or 5 based on like they haven't really got the same team effective, haven't they? And they weren't guaranteed to finish in that competition. I still think they got one of the best teams in the league, but I think with the Champions League competition, it's just a lot of games now, isn't it? Like you're playing in eight games, and let's be honest, they're not going to get knocked out at the first stage, so they're going to play at least 10 games. So 10 games more than who they're going to try and compete against. I think Aston Villa drop off badly, and based on their season. So I don't know. Maybe there seems to be a bit of a gulf between those teams and the rest of the league, doesn't it? I can't remember who missed out, but I think it was Aston Villa missed out just. I don't think Manchester United closed the gap. So maybe they do finish 5th. Then I don't see them improving on. I don't see them catching Liverpool, Arsenal, or Man City. So I think they've got a very good first 11, but they don't have the options. Their bench is going to be weaker than the rest of those teams.
I pretty much agree. I mean, a lot of these, like Fulham, haven't even brought anyone yet. I mean, I can't see them. They had a good season last season. They were top 10, I think, or something last season. So they done okay. They was trying to get Europe, weren't they, at one stage, along with us and Bournemouth and Brighton and all that. So I'm not sure how they're going to do. They might struggle a little bit, maybe. Everton, they haven't. Well, they've only really. Oh, of course, Alcaraz was a fairly big signing, I guess. Mr. Neil Maupay has gone. I see there. It's been released. Ex-Brentford, of course. So you've got somebody called Barry in. Tierno Barry. I thought I heard Barry. I thought they got the guy from EastEnders, or he used to be in EastEnders. But
a lot of players leaving Everton.
Sorry,
yeah, I don't know. I think Everton are going to be like mid-table to like between like 10th to 12th, somewhere on there. I don't see them doing much better.
No. I don't think they're going to be right up there anywhere, not in the top 10. Palace, do you think the FA Cup winners, do you think they'll be there or thereabouts this time? Or?
I think Palace are quite impressive and a good team to watch, but they got European football as well, haven't they? So a lot more games for them.
Yeah.
I would say maybe they're going to be, they might be a top 10 team just about, but it depends. Do you remember when West Ham got to the final of the Conference League? And it really hit their league form. They finished like really low down. Maybe Crystal Palace are going to be finding like for me they're probably going to be focused on the European competition. I think it might hit their league form a little bit, but we'll see. Again, like these competitions because of the even Manchester United and Spurs because of the quality of the Premier League in terms of money, etc., and players. I think Crystal Palace could do quite well in that competition. So they could do. Like, are they in the Europa League or Conference League? Did they get relegated to the Conference League?
Yeah, Conference League, because they were in the Europa League, weren't they? But because of was it Leo?
I reckon, like, early prediction, I think Crystal Palace have got a team to try and win that competition.
Yeah, I do. No, I mean, the thing is, if Eze goes, that's the only thing, isn't it? If he leaves,
I think that should be the aim. That should be the aim for Crystal Palace: win the Conference League and see what you can do in the league.
Yeah, they've had one or two of their players gone. I mean, I don't know if Mateta's still going to go. I don't know. There was talk about him going at one stage, so I don't know if that's happening.
Yeah, Man United fans want him. I don't know if it's realistic because they might want a lot of money, but no, he's a good player. I think they should probably try and tie him up, but I think I don't think Man United would try and buy him at his age, but he's a good player.
I think Manny remembers him scored against Arsenal, didn't he? Yeah, Mateta.
Yep.
Don Raya is well out of his goal again, wasn't he, Mr. Raya? So, but yeah. So, who do we think is in danger of relegation here, gents? Burnley? I mean, Manny said maybe Burnley might stay up. What do you reckon, Rich, about that? Do you think they could stay up, or Leeds could get?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because like the last season, remember a couple of years ago where Burnley were like head and shoulders above everybody in the Championship, then went straight back down. I don't know. At this point in time, until I see any sort of evidence to the contrary, I think the teams get promoted are going to massively struggle. And it's a shame that it's that way, but it seems to be that way. That unless you've just been relegated and you've got significant improvements and won the league by miles, I don't know, it's hard to see at the moment. So I don't know about Leeds United. We played a pre-season friendly, but again, there's nothing to read into that. They're both teams just trying lots of different things. I don't know about Leeds. I'm not sure actually. People talk about Sunderland. I think Sunderland might be the most likely to stay up, but again, it depends. We could see teams go either way.
Forest should be fine, shouldn't they? You think they'll be fine? They won't be going down, will they? Forest.
No, I think they'll be worse, but they won't be going down.
No, because they almost got, was it Champions League, wasn't it? Did they did get Europe in the end, didn't they? They got, was it Europa League? I think Forest, did they? I think they did, didn't you?
Yes, Europa League, Steve, that's right.
Yeah.
Originally Conference League, but then they were sort of bumped upwards.
That's right, yeah. As you say, Sunderland there. They lost Joe Bellingham, of course. He went. But they got some players in, this Siddiqui. Actually, we were after Siddiqui, so they beat us to him getting in there, unfortunately. So who else did they get? Diarra. It's quite good, I think. Who's that one? Talby. Dingra from Brighton, of course. Another good player. They might have what it takes, Sunderland, to stay up, possibly. And of course, Tottenham. Let's get to Tottenham. Now managed by a certain Thomas Frank. So, where do we think they're going to finish, guys? I mean, I'm thinking maybe top 6, maybe 7. Not top 4 or 5 at least. Not that. Will they do well in Europe? Under Thomas, it's going to be a tough one. He hasn't had all this money, or really. I'm not going to go against my team, but real good quality players as such. To manage. He hasn't had this sort of caliber to manage, has he? I suppose. By some of them.
I think you've got to consider as well that Spurs did finish below Man United. Man United were dreadful last season. Yeah. So I don't know. I think they got a much better manager. But they've got the Champions League as well, which is lots more games. So I don't know. It's a difficult one to call. Honestly, they'll be better than last season for sure, won't they? But I don't know where they're going to. Honestly, I couldn't guess where they're going to finish. I'm going to say 8th, 7th or 8th.
Yeah, I probably agree. I mean, they got Kudus in. I think it's a great signing from West Ham. I really do. Really rate him. They let a few go, of course. Højbjerg, he's gone. They brought in Matthias Tell, of course, Kevin Danzo, Furin, Vuskovic. I think they've got good, very good young players there as well. Brennan Johnson, I think he's very good. And of course, we wanted him at Brentford. Of course, Spurs got him ahead of us, of course, but now, of course, Thomas is going to be managing him. So, also Bergvall, another good young player there, I think, in midfield. And Archie Gray as well. So, he's got some good youngsters there, but I think he'll bring them on more as well. Because I think he done that at the Bees, Thomas, So I think he's made a few players a lot better. Like he made Yarmulke, I think, for us. I think he's improved him. Of course, Lewis Potter, I think he improved him even more. And quite a few of the others, Shardy even, who's still raw. I think he's brought him on as well. So I think he'll do that with these players as well, Thomas. I think he's going to be really good here. I think he'll be a hit. I really do at Spurs. What do you guys think about that? You two. What about you, Manny?
Well, I think you pretty much opinion about this, Steve. I was actually, fit to be tied when Spurs sacked Postecoglou. Not because, out for banter's sake, I wanted him to stay in the hope that he'd get them relegated. Far from it. I thought that, given all of the extenuating circumstances the Spurs had in what was definitely a dreadful season, nobody will say otherwise. He still managed to, weather the storm and make the most of it. And his decision to, prioritize the Europa League, I know that I think Rich will probably, take a look at and say that the fact that United don't have European football this season will be a blessing in many ways, because that way you won't get the extra games. And I respect that opinion, but you've also got to look at it and say that the extra revenue and the status of at least the consolation of at least having a trophy in your cabinet would have helped make up for what was a horrible season.
I should say that I would much rather win the league. All I'm saying is that my expectations of what we do next season in terms of the league, we should do better because we don't have European football. But 100%, I'd much rather have the Europa League football and potentially be able to Champions League football and actually be able to get easier targets and have the extra revenue. That's by far the best option. I'm just saying that having no European football, there's fewer excuses essentially. There's fewer excuses for us not to get up the league.
I agree, but as I've told you before, mate, it's not always going to be a blessing, because I can say from experience that it doesn't always work out that way. But for Ange to have done what he did, and let's not forget that it was he who helped, bring in players like Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall. He also was able to, for at least briefly, get the best out of Jed Spence, who was considered persona non grata by Antonio Conte. And with all of the injuries that they've had and all of the struggles that they've had, when you are able to sort of recover from all of that and fulfill your prophecy of always winning a trophy in your second season, I'm a very firm believer, and I know that maybe Rich and you might disagree with me, Steve, but when you are able to do that and win a trophy, you immediately end up with credit in the bank. And so he deserved, in my opinion, to have a chance to see things for another season. And Rich might chime in and say, well, not true, really, because, that FA Cup win against City with Ten Hag pretty much set the club back in a way, because Ratcliffe opted to keep him for another season, didn't have a good start. Ten Hag was sacked midway, and, Amorim came in and wasn't quite able to turn the tide. But a lot of people will say that when Amorim came in, he ended up in many ways contributing to the team performing even worse than they were when Eric was sacked. But also, I get the impression that when Ten Hag was about to leave, there was a part of me that thought that mentally he was, he wanted to leave. Ratcliffe convinced him to stay. But Ange was very eager to continue. The players were so made it clear that they wanted him. And, when I would have gotten it if people say that if you win something like a League Cup or even a domestic cup, you don't just suddenly get to hope for a stay of execution because you won a domestic trophy, but winning a European trophy and getting Champions League football is not small potatoes. And let's not forget, he fulfilled those aims that Daniel Levy set of him. Not in the way that was expected, but he got it done. So how do you sack a person who fulfills the aims that you set out, who makes the best of a dreadful situation with the injuries and the fact that Daniel Levy never adequately backed him and is now backing Thomas Frank now? I just think that the way it was handled was absolutely disgusting, and I really felt for, Ange. But with consolation, he does walk away with a good severance package. He walks away a winner, and he will get a fine job elsewhere. And I think the way Thomas Frank has started at Spurs, and you might be delighted to hear this, Steve, Spurs fans, especially on social media, are raving over him. They love how he's exceptionally meticulous and providing a lot of attention to detail. They say, we're loving Thomas the Frank engine instead. Goodbye, Big Ange. And, and they're already predicting so many great things. My advice to them is, look, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. You want a new manager. You wanted to sack a manager who won you the trophy and gave you the platform. I don't believe you're going to make the most of it. I don't see them going as far in the Champions League as Aston Villa did last season. And I definitely don't see them doing well enough to finish in the top 4. If they're lucky, they may end up getting Conference League football. And they're going to have to decide if they're happy with, that level of, mid-table mediocrity and hardly ever winning anything, then, that they've made their bed. Let them lie in it as far as I'm concerned. And maybe Ange is better off away from that Levy circus. The sooner people realize that Levy is the problem, the better. Shout out to our good friend Eugen from Spurs U Asian TV, staunch Levy outer. And, he's been proved right with that stance, I have to say.
Yeah, definitely. But I know Rich has got to go, mate. So do you want to shout your socials out, mate, and everything?
Yeah. Cheers, Steve, and cheers, Manny. Yeah, Red Devil United, biased Manchester United content, but all fans welcome now. All fans welcome, and regular streaming every day. So get involved, guys, if you want to talk about Manchester United. And we'll be trying to work out, actually, things over the next year if we're going to try and do a few different things because fewer games. But cheers, guys. I'm going to have to head off, and I thought I'd just jump on because you're to cover
Rich,
fan.
Rich, just briefly before you go, mate, do you think it was right to sack Ange, or did they make a mistake? Briefly.
I think they did the right decision to sack him because having watched Europa League and been supporting a team in the Europa League, I think the level was quite low this year. After watching the group matches, Manchester United, we didn't lose a single game in that competition until the final. And the level of the competition, it felt a bit like, even when we played badly, we're never really struggling. We had to play quite badly to go behind in games. And even when we didn't play well, we should have won most of the games we played. I think Spurs, again, they found it quite comfortable in the latter stages. For me, it just emphasised that once you drop down to like the sort of 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th teams in the league, the Premier League has got more depth than most other teams. So every time we did a preview, people said, right, Leon are going to give you problems. They did give us a bit of problems, but I would say, honestly, Fulham, Bournemouth, Brentford, they're all better than teams we played in the Europa League. And Spurs, again, I knew we'd have a difficult final with Spurs because all the Premier League teams we played week in, week out are higher level than teams like the 5th or 6th best team in Spain. So Real Sociedad were quite average when we played them. We beat them comprehensively in the first match, and we kind of weathered the storm and took them apart in the second one. We didn't do that against Premier League teams. So I think Spurs were right to do it. It's a brave approach because they got a trophy, but Ange was struggling massively. They lost 20 league games last season.
Yeah.
I think Spurs were dreadful. We were poor. I think Spurs were worse, and I can see why they sacked him because it might be more difficult next season. I think Thomas Frank is a big upgrade, so I think Spurs made the right decision.
Yeah, definitely, for sure, mate. Thanks for coming on again, Rich. Anyway, mate, thank you. Brilliant.
No worries. Always a pleasure. Hey, take it easy, guys.
Bye, Rich. Take care, mate.
Have a good one. See you, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers, bro. Yeah, and Right, so what's happening there? Gone off here. I don't know why. Hold on a minute. I'll just take him out of the solo. That out. Because I had him on the solo thing. But anyway, great stuff from Rich there. Great channel. Go and check his channel out. I haven't been on there for a while actually. I've got to try and go in the live chat and stuff and see what's going on. Always good conversation and stuff. They're good guests and everything. Great stuff. So go and check that out. But anyway, Manny, we're going to crack on quickly now because obviously it's time's flying and it's about 3 hours or so now. We're done. Very long time. I've been on here, but it's been great. I've enjoyed it. So who do you think? No, we haven't really covered like Wolves and West Ham. I actually think those two could be down near the bottom, don't you? I think they could struggle.
Yeah, it could very well be that with Vitor Pereira, despite the job that he did last season in rescuing Wolves and doing really well, I think the fact that they've lost Cunha and one or two other players means that they're always going to be in a little bit of trouble. Obviously, you've got Spurs as listed. I think they've you take a look at the support that Levy has given Frank. Maybe if he had given Ange that support, Ange would have done a little bit better. And I think calling Ange an inferior manager to Thomas Frank. I know Frank is good, but Ange is definitely not bad, and winning a European trophy is not small potatoes, regardless of what anyone will say. But it is what it is, and I wish Ange the very best of luck, and I know that he will find some very good employment, as I've said. But, obviously they've signed a few players. They've obviously signed Kudus from West Ham, among others. And there are a lot of players who have been released, the likes of Danny Ings, Soufal.
Yeah.
Fabianski's gone. I think he might retire. Cresswell has also left. A lot of outgoings there, either released or gone out on loan. Kurt Zuma's also gone. Todibo's come in. Daniel Cummings has come in from Celtic. Maybe Warren can give you some sort of an insight there. Malik Dia from Slavia Prague and Kyle Walker-Peters from Southampton. That will be very, very impressive indeed. A quick return to the Premiership for the ex-Tottenham youth defender.
Good player, I think. Good player.
Yeah. So I actually do agree with you that West Ham will struggle because unless they're able to increase the number of incomings, they're going to be in trouble. They're literally ripping apart their entire squad, the squad that won them the Conference League, and starting all over again. And that's going to be a very, very risky strategy for Graham Potter. So I wish West Ham luck, but I really think that they will end up struggling. It has to be said.
Yeah. I think Wolves as well. So I think Wolves are, lost a lot of their good players, haven't they? Cunha and
Aitnuri, yes, that's right.
So, they've lost a lot of their, core players, I think, really. So they could well struggle this time. And, they were sort of, they were near it last season, weren't they? They were near the relegation. So could they be in it? They might actually, one of them others might dodge that and get, like say Burnley or Sunderland or something, and you might get Wolves in there or West Ham, something like that,
I mean, they've done well by getting Strand Larsen in, and they've also got Fer Lopez from Celta Vigo and another chap from Feyenoord, Hugo. Bueno's gone on loan to Feyenoord, and a lot of outgoings, but very few incomings. And, that's the thing. Unless you are able to guarantee some incomings with your outgoings, I know how important it is to, cleanse the squad, as it were, but you've got to have some players coming in who will sort of help you in a way. And unless they can get that balance, then, they're going to struggle, definitely. I think, they could be in for a world of trouble if they're not careful.
Yeah. It's still going to be interesting. I mean, there's still the transfer window still going on. So we'll see if they do bring players in and might strengthen them or whatever. So it's going to be good. Whatever happens, we're going to find out, aren't we? Very soon. Yeah. So the new season will be starting as soon as you can say it next season, next month. I mean, sorry. All that's
before you can say Jordan Henderson.
Yeah, okay, Manny.
Sorry about that.
I'm not going to say it. So, but no, mate, we're going to move on from that. And of course, the final topic on here is this, obviously, the Club World Cup. Was it a success? Did people watch it? Obviously for Chelsea it was, because they won it and won a lot of money, got a lot of money out of it and things like that. But did people really watch it enough?
Remember the song, Loads of Money, Loads of Money.
Yeah, the fat cats are getting fatter. Got them all clean, didn't they? That's the thing out of this.
Yep.
Like City actually went out of it, didn't they? So wasn't too good for them. But Chelsea made even more money out of this, winning it. And I know certain fans like Hanno loved it. You know, he's great. He's happy. You know, world champions for 4 years. So, do you think it was good though? I actually didn't like it. I was against it. More games for the big teams like Chelsea, City have got big squads, but it's still more games, and those players were knackered after a full season, weren't they? That's the problem.
Oh, absolutely. And that's another reason why I could never really get behind that. One of the biggest reasons why I wasn't happy with the advent of this Club World Cup was because they scrapped the Confederations Cup to make it happen. Yeah. And the Confederations Cup, as you will know, Steve, was sort of like a mini World Cup, as it were, because it featured the champions from the different confederations, as it were, from continents, I should say. And it was sort of like a mini World Cup. You also had the Oceanian champions from all over the world. So it was a wonderful way to provide exposure for different national teams. I think we even saw Tahiti playing in that Confederations Cup before the World Cup in Brazil. And it's traditionally hosted, of course, by the team that's hosting the World Cup. So that really piques a lot of interest in terms of trying to get people excited for that main World Cup. And because it's more of an internationally oriented thing, you have fewer matches there, and you just you don't really have players suffering from that level of fatigue. But what those idiots at FIFA did, including that corrupt so-and-so, that corrupt git Infantino did, was that they end up bloating the competition effectively by having more teams compete. And the thing about a competition like this is that you end up having a situation where the smaller teams will probably only play about one match, and I don't even know how much they would be remunerated. So you think of a team like Auckland City, for instance, where practically all of their players were, amateurs. I mean, maybe they would have enjoyed playing in the group stages, all 3 games, but they were never going to go further because of the huge gulf in quality. And so it was just, in many ways a pointless exercise. And the fact is, you also take a look at the knockout stages over there. You had Palmeiras, Botafogo, Fluminense, and Flamengo, 4 Brazilian teams coming in and doing very well. And of those 4 teams, 2 teams qualified for the quarterfinals. 1 team, of course, Fluminense, did make it to the semifinals. It was just that Chelsea, I think, probably had a lot more motivation to try and win this. I think City will look back and say that it was a disappointment. PSG, of course, were probably knackered. Bayern Munich know that they could have done better, but of course they lost to that rampaging PSG team, which also cut Real Madrid to pieces. It was just, in many ways, a pointless exercise. In addition, the scheduling was also dreadful. You cannot have a situation, Steve, where you play matches in this time of the year where it's scorchingly hot in some places, and the humidity also doesn't help you. And one of the more iconic images of the 1994 World Cup, for instance, where the Republic of Ireland were the only team from the British Isles to qualify, was that of Steve Staunton either wearing a baseball cap or a towel on his head. And I still maintain, and I'm sorry to say this to Warren and Del Boy and a few others, Steve Staunton will always be a better left back than Dennis Irwin. Not his fault that he wasn't quite able to play, wasn't fortunate enough to play for that great Manchester United team. But anyway, you have a situation there where people just can't tolerate the heat, and it was an issue when the USA first hosted the World Cup in 1994. And you'll also remember, Steve, that tragically that was the tournament which preceded a very tragic incident where Colombia defender Andres Escobar was murdered after returning to Colombia.
Terrible.
Yeah,
terrible.
absolutely.
Disgusting, that was. Disgusting.
Absolutely.
Just for scoring a goal, he got shot. Yeah, not good.
Yeah, and you cannot expect to play football in those temperatures and succeed, especially if you're, a European team which is not used to playing in those temperatures. You've got to do a lot of preparation for the climate and so forth. And it's of no coincidence that the Brazilian teams did well this time around, but they're used to these conditions. But with the scheduling being done so early in the day, and you've got this there, the crowds, much has been made of the low attendees. 4 matches failed to get 10,000 fans, the lowest being the 3,412, who saw South African team Mamelodi Sundowns beat Ulsan HD from Korea 1-0.
Yeah.
But there have been 15 crowds of 60,000 or more, with the highest being the 80,000 who saw PSG beat Atletico Madrid and Pasadena. And the highest attendances were at games involving PSG or Real Madrid. But the average attendance of 38,369 is below that of any World Cup since Chile 1972. And it's the average that really talks about it. Obviously, you're going to get a situation where people are going to want to flock to watch games with the bigger teams. But when you have a bloated competition with more and more teams coming in, you're just not going to necessarily peak that level of interest. With the International World Cup or a Confederations Cup, you don't have that problem, because there are not many games being played. But for many teams, and many nations, it's an experience of a lifetime. At club level, you just don't get that. And that is why I hated FIFA's decision to do that, and I predicted it would be a flop. And I don't think it's been a flop, been a success at all. I think it has, in many ways, been a disappointment. The fact that vile creature Donald Trump chose to make it about himself in many ways. I mean, I despise that pig with a passion. But
I don't blame you.
It was just symbolic of the whole thing, and I mean, there were, of course, and if you want to read this segment, you can read it. Did teams want to win it?
Yeah, well, obviously Chelsea did, because they did, but I don't know if all the teams wanted to win it. Right, the answer to this question is yes. Helped to a large extent by the huge prize fund available. Teams could win up to 91 million for winning the tournament, with Manchester City pocketing 38 million despite going out in the last 16. Chelsea have probably earned about 80 million for reaching the final, with João Pedro repaying over a third of his transfer fee with 2 semi-final goals against Fluminense. The winners will be allowed to wear a badge on their kit saying they are world champions until the summer of 2029, when the next tournament is played. Players of Brazilian clubs celebrated wins and broke down with defeats every bit as much as any major cup. As the tournament went on, European teams were determined to win it too. We had a lot of ambition for this Club World Cup and we wanted to win it, said City captain Bernardo Silva after losing to Al Hilal. Was a big shot, wasn't it? Asked if it hurt as much as Champions League elimination, he said yes, a little bit. Wenger said, if you make inquiries to all the clubs who were here, then 100% of answers would be that they would want to win it again, want to do it again. That's the best answer of what the clubs think of a Club World Cup. Or why are you looking at me?
Here's the thing. Monsieur Wenger, je t'aime beaucoup, but I know that you would say something on that because you are, of course, working closely with FIFA. I think Jurgen Klopp pretty much made it crystal clear what he thought of the whole pointless exercise. And I stand with, the former Liverpool boss all the way. And, I mean, obviously, when you offer a great deal of money, it is going to be a big incentive. But, that's just another reason why it becomes more of an exercise of, more and more money going to the bigger fat cats, and some of the other clubs not I don't even know how much they're going to be paid in return for their appearance. It'll probably be a pittance, in all honesty. And, you can't just have a situation where you can promise clubs more money in return for playing more games and expect, that sort of enthusiasm. There was, a Club World Cup that was tried earlier. That was, of course, the original format where, Manchester United, having won the treble, were sort of coerced into taking part in that at the expense of defending their FA Cup. And that was very, very controversial in and of itself. I don't need to talk about that further. But this is why when it comes to these international club tournaments, they will never have anywhere near as much, clout or gravitas or even relevance, really, as the international, as the national team tournaments like, the World Cup or the Continental Championships. It just won't. And I'm sorry we didn't, we saw you earlier, Melina. Big up to you. Hope you're doing well. Hope your health is fine. Do take care of yourself. It is quite pleasant now back in Canada, and hopefully the weather will be will do wonders for your health. And I'm a little bit biased in a way because I loved the Confederations Cup and what it stood for, but I think this Club World Cup exercise in many ways was a big disappointment, and no amount of posturing from the likes of Arsene Wenger will convince me otherwise. And yet, sadly, because of these prats who are running the game, we've got to put up with this monstrosity in 4 years' time. It probably will be held in Saudi Arabia. Are they going to have a similar situation where they end up, hosting it in those in those temperatures which literally are killers? We complain about the heat in the US. In the Middle East, mind you, it's going to be a lot worse. For heaven's sake, FIFA are just a bunch of greedy gits.
Yes, basically. Yeah, I totally agree. That's what he's all about, man. He's the money, isn't it? At the end of the day. That's what they want. And the more money, the better for those idiots, wankers there. And, you could say, we're saying about the football here. Yeah, it's some good games. It was decent. I mean, I didn't always watch it because it was on Channel 5 at times, so I sort of watched it on there occasionally, but I've got the Zone, but I can't get on it, so I can't watch I think you got to subscribe or something or other to it, so I wasn't able to do that. But yeah, I watched it on Channel 5 now and again, and I obviously watched the final. But yeah, I still was really against it. I just don't know why. It's pointless. Yeah, okay, I know you're going to get money. There's big clubs, so what? At the end of the day, but what does it mean to the rest of the teams? I mean, okay, you got some of those Brazilian teams that enjoyed it, were in it, and the Saudi Arabian teams like Al Hilal, of course, beating Man City. I mean, what a scalp for them, to beat Man City. So. There are some positives, but I still think the negatives outweigh the positives, and I just don't know why it happened. And yes, we keep saying it's down to money, and that possibly is it. But it's just pointless at the end of the day because, teams have just finished a big season. They just finished a full season, then you've got to play more games, and then you've got to come back for pre-season to play more games in friendlies, pre-season friendlies. Then you've got the start of the season in August. You're starting then. You're playing loads more games. What is the point? I mean, and Rodri, I agree with totally that 100% what he said. These players playing too much football. Yes, they're getting paid a vast amount, and they are pros, but they're still human beings at the end of the day. And they're still going to get tired, and they're going to get exhausted. They're going to break down. We kept saying it about the likes of Saka, always getting played all the time for Arsenal or England. Why can't he get a rest? Why doesn't he? But then they're saying also, well, he actually wanted to play more. And you think, well, why? Because you are going to break down. You're going to get more injuries. You're going to get, it's going to be worse if you keep playing. Yes, you're going to get paid anyway. If you don't play, are you? you're still getting paid. But at the end of the day, I mean, I suppose in the way some players do like playing, you've got to admit then there are proper footballers, proper pros that want to play the game and not just get paid for it. So in a way, that's a good thing. But at the end of the day, you're still going to get the bad injuries, and that keeps your best players out, and that means they can't play football. So, you know,
mate, never mind the injuries. As I was alluding to, the heat exhaustion will also be a very big factor in and of itself. And you know, especially when you consider that, like if maybe you know, when you have the schedule that players have, I think some of them will. The reason why people have no problems with the World Cup is because it's long since been ingrained, and you know, even for this edition, which will be held in the Americas, in Canada, the USA, and Mexico, they're still bloating the number of teams that are taking part, and that just means it'll be more money into FIFA's coffers, which is absolutely disgusting in and of itself. But national teams do end up preparing for that. Obviously, the players who play regularly for their clubs are given some time off, and then, of course, as part of you know, preparations, they go to these camps. They sort of get themselves, what can I say, acclimatized to the conditions, and that's sort of the way it is. But when it comes to club football, it's something that is not really, it hasn't really taken up much hold in many ways, if that makes any sense. And, you know, to expect people to be mentally prepare for that when in their eyes, their minds are on the upcoming season, when they want to make sure that they recharge well. I'm sorry, but everything about this just speaks of, you know, short-sighted planning, greed for more money, and I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up, you know, tanking. People are going to say that there are a few outliers. I mean, obviously, you know, when you talk about the football being played, people are going to say that it was in some ways a success, but you also had your share of mismatches, like Auckland City having 10 goals pumped past them. So you're obviously going to get your share of good games. You'll get your share of bad games. That happens with every single tournament. I just don't believe in any way that, and this particular thing right here, whether fans have been invested worldwide. In my neck of the woods, I was never even able to watch the damn thing because, you know, it wasn't being shown on any of the sports channels that I currently have. And I can say that I didn't miss out on very much. There is a new channel called Fan Code Sports where, I mean, it's currently broadcasting coverage of the Women's Euros, but you have to subscribe to that separately. And I'm going to have to make sure that I, you know, do a bit of tweaking. And sadly, also, I can't even watch the Lions series between the British Lions and Australia anyway, because that requires a separate channel, which isn't even part of the damn package. So, congrats
to the Egg Chasers the other day, by the way, for winning. Brilliant.
Absolutely. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. But you know, I just don't agree with a lot of the positive stuff that's being said. I think, you know, the way it was just done has been, you know, a little bit lopsided in my opinion, and I really cannot see this continuing to be very, very popular in the long run, especially if a lot of the issues about player fatigue will continue to be prevalent. So, you know how they say that you can dress up a pig in a suit and still be a pig? You can say whatever positive things you want about this tournament. For me, I don't think it was a success. I think at best the jury will still be out. And we're going to see if this continues in its current format. And obviously players aren't going to complain about it because, you know, they get paid fortunes every single week. And the money on offer means, you know, if you offer them that money, they will slap your arm off. But sometimes, you know, it's not all about the money. Is it worth it if your health's going to be compromised?
No, I don't think it is. But there we go. I mean, as they say in that final, they had that Super Bowl style halftime show. I remember that. It was obviously Chris Martin and Linkin Park and all that. Oh, that Linkin Park was was Champions League, sorry. But yeah, they had Chris Martin and all that halftime Coldplay, you know. So But yeah, I mean, are we turning this? Is this going to be Americanized now, though? Because that's what they do for the Super Bowl, and we're not doing the Super Bowl, are we? It's football, soccer, we should say, not the American kind, which is football. American football.
Exactly, and this is an example in many. This is an example in many ways of why we should be worried about the direction in which the sport is heading, and we're going to have to be very, 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 very vigilant about what happens in the upcoming future. I don't like seeing sports being Americanized, as it were, but that is pretty much. It is going to be more or less a reality in the coming years, and sadly, it is what it is.
So if we had to really vote for this, man, if there was like a ballot for it and all that, I would vote no. Would you agree? Would you vote no as well for this tournament?
I'd say heck no. Heck no. It was not a success. Yeah. I mean, I realize I've got my bias, and I'm willing to accept that. That maybe I'm not willing to necessarily be that open-minded about things, but there is a reason why I have this strong, have these strong opinions, and I'm really grateful that you are willing to not just understand that, but concur with me in many ways, Steve.
Well, I think we all agree that this has made it. You're lengthening the season already. We haven't even started the new season yet, and there's more games already that being played. And you want to play. Yeah, of course, you want to play pre-season, and that just helps your players get to match fitness and getting ready for the new season, rather than just actually playing full games against these big opposition and so many games in the tournament. Obviously Chelsea will be happy. They won it, and they're the World Club champion. So, they're happy in a way with it. But will it impact their players overall in the season? A lot of those players are going to play this new season that they played in that tournament, aren't they? So, is it going to impact them at the end of the day? Are they, they're playing more games? Are they going to get injuries and stuff like that? So. It's a real headache, I think. I'm just glad it's only going to be every 4 years, because you couldn't keep doing this every season, surely. It's just a nightmare,
No, you couldn't, and then that's the thing. Like, it also could have a knock-on effect for when teams end up playing, trying to qualify for the World Cup. If you've got these players who are internationals as well. I just think the Confederations Cup was a much nicer tournament, and it had a lot more in terms of possibilities about that. A huge appeal to that, and we've lost it now with this ridiculous Club World Cup thing. But it is what it is. I think we just got to roll with the punches and accept that in the future, the way FIFA are doing things, they're going to look to Americanize it more. There are a lot of proposed changes to the way the sport is being run. I think they're being talked about. That's a story for another day. But, mate, it's just a shambles, I think.
It is, my friend, definitely. But we've got to bounce, mate, because it's gone over 3 hours now. It's been a great stream. I loved it, but obviously it's 3 hours 33. I didn't think I was going on this long, to be honest. I know and Rich coming on was great as well. Thanks to him for coming on. That was brilliant to talk about all that with obviously the transfers and everything. So we should be rumbling on for the next few days. Obviously, I think it finishes. Is it August the 1st? Is it the end of the transfer window? Is it close, I think?
I think so. And, let's also not forget that there will be a sort of an extension of the transfer window sometime in September. So there will be, I think there will be some more activity over there. In fact, it's often the case that if there's hardly anything going on in the summer in September, that's really going to be a very hectic window.
Yeah. We're just gonna wait to see. I get a little bit excited about if we do get players in, and any team does, I suppose, and it's whether you get the right ones in as well. That's the problem as well. But you can't say always Arsenal have, but you might do if you get Gyökeres. If that does, you do get over the line. You never know. That'd be a good one, a top one for you. Make a change, wouldn't it, to get a really top player in and get some goals. So let's hope we do, mate. But it'd be interesting. And I'm waiting to see if we get any more in. If we get Hutchinson or whoever else, see what happens. We know Bramo's gone. We know Visser's going to probably go. So we're losing some of our players, our team. But we always come back. We come back stronger, we seem to be. So come back stinging again. So let's hope we do. But anyway, Manny, it's been a good one, my friend. Where can we find you?
Well, first of all, Steve, thank you very much indeed for hosting the stream and having me on. I'm glad I was able to, come back into the hive, as it were, and be a part of the buzz. And you can catch me here on the buzz. And also, I'm looking forward to another cricket stream. In fact, I do believe tomorrow this week will be very active because the women have got the ODI decider against India, and our men are also going to be playing the fourth test at Old Trafford. I think I do actually have a little bit of an update on the playing 11. I am checking the Instagram. I am checking, of course, the Instagram account for England Cricket, and I'll just briefly tell you what it is. But India do have some problems with a couple of players injured. Nitish Reddy is out of the series, and Arshdeep Singh, the poor bloke who hasn't had any action, will be missing the fourth test, although he might possibly come into contention to play in the fifth test at the Oval. And hopefully, we will have learnt our lesson and made some changes, but I don't think we have. And actually, wait a minute. There is, of course, one change, obviously enforced, with Liam Dawson coming into the team in place of Shoaib Bashir. But apart from that, it's as you were, which means, I'm sorry to say this, Steve, it's still Wokes, Cars and Archer, and Crawley and Duckett at the top. Pope still in at number 3. We just never learn, do we?
No. Oh, well, why do we bother, Manny? Why do you bother saying who we're going to bring in, who we want to come in, and they never do it, do they? It just never happens. So, they're stubborn. Bunch of Artetas, a lot of them. But anyway, go on, carry on, mate. Carry on, Manny.
It is what it is, and they won't listen. But we'll just see how it works out. And India do have their problems, so that gives me a crumb of comfort. Also, good luck, of course, to the England women's team who are in the semi-finals of the Euros, and they'll be playing Italy. And to those idiots who have seen it fit to abuse Jess Carter, you people are scum of the earth, a bunch of absolute ne'er-do-wells, and hopefully, you will be found out, you'll be shamed, and you do not deserve to have the honor of supporting our sports teams in any competition at all. Bunch of absolute, and forgive me for saying this, bunch of absolute twats, I have to say this. Yeah,
I agree.
But anyway, there's more sport to come, obviously, more transfer activity to come in the next few weeks before the start of the season. And obviously, Mr. B will bring you a lot of that in the subsequent streams. I can't cricket stream where we talk a lot more about our teams. Hopefully, both the women and the men will do well. Until then, there's nothing much for me to say except enjoy this week. And thanks to all those of you who were there here in the chat, Luca, Mel, and a few others. Big up to Rich from Rich Sports who came on. Good to see him again. And hopefully we'll have a lot more people joining in. But it has gone long. I've got to bounce. So as usual, take care of yourselves. Be safe and be happy. Do unto others as you'd have others do unto you. And don't do anything that Mr. B or I wouldn't do. But it's time for me to buzz. And I will see you soon. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, Manny. Take care, my friend. Have a good one. Great to see him back again, as usual. It's good that he's got his laptop sorted out. And, there was a few audio issues there a bit. But it's good that he's back up and running with his laptop, and when he's sometimes on screen now as well, we see his face back on the screen. But yeah, thanks to everyone that was in the live chat. Luca, of course. Rich came on for a while and in the live chat, of course. Mel, great to see her again, and all the rest. So, brilliant. Thanks to everyone. Just going to quickly go back to my mouse, guys. I just got to get that because I can control this better with my mouse. So. Yeah, there we go. Back using the mouse now. My little pet mouse, old Mickey here. But anyway, no, but thanks to everyone that's been watching. Thanks to all your support, as usual, love and support. Please keep following me on Mr. B for Life 182. Mr. B chats England cricket and Mr. B Hiver football chat there. So, you know, all down there. Go and check it out. Yeah, so it's been a good one. Obviously, next one might be as long as this. It's 3 hours 40 now. So, but it will be probably the transfer one, or well, as Manny said, I've got to do a cricket one, which would possibly be tomorrow. I may do a preview for the one on Wednesday. So, seems like the team's going to be the same again, which I'm not happy about. But anyway, thanks to everyone that's been watching live or on playback. Please keep smashing and the likes and subbing. I'm up to about, I was 143. I hope I'm still on that or got more. But anyway, it all matters. All appreciate. I appreciate all your love and support, guys. But for the time being, I'm going to bounce until the next one. I'm out of here. Cheers, everyone. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Bye.